Muy buenas chavales, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a otro vídeo para el canal. ¿Qué tal chicos? ¿Qué tal ese fin de semana que habéis tenido? Espero que habéis tenido un fin de semana de putos locos, que hayáis disfrutado como Dios manda y si habéis tenido que currarles, ya sabéis que sois unos jodidos campeones. Espero que, bueno, os haya dado lo mejor posible y esta semanita espero que descanséis al menos un par de días, como siempre os digo, que en fin, lo que tenéis el fin de semana, sois lo mejor del mundo. Es muy difícil trabajar en fin de semana, la verdad, pero bueno, es lo que hay. Nada, que antes que nada pedir disculpas por no haber subido el vídeo el pasado viernes, ¿vale? Me fui a Madrid y, en fin, no te dejé nada preparado porque tengo la cabeza en otra parte. Y nada, pido disculpas y nada, esta semana sí que voy a subir 4 vídeos, ¿vale? Que lo sepáis. El primero hoy, que sé que llega tarde, pero es que os digo, no he tenido tiempo literalmente. Este vídeo de hoy normalmente solo subo a las 5 de la tarde hora española, pues va, no sé si lo subiré a las 8:30, en cuanto acabe el vídeo lo subiré, son las 7, así que pues lo que tarde en hacerlo. Y nada, eso, va a haber 4 vídeos esta semanita. El vídeo del viernes va a ser especial, ¿vale? Tengo ahí un vídeo preparado bastante guapo que os va a gustar vamos, yo creo que a la mayoría de vosotros. Y nada, y aparte los directitos ahí que van a estar bien ricolinos. Así que empezamos. El partido de hoy va NOKRON contra ARIANDEL, partidazo sin duda, pero súper partidazo. NOKRON, el primer puesto contra ARIANDEL, cuarto puesto. Realmente no les separa mucha diferencia, bueno, sí, 3 puntos y tal. Porque, bueno, no ha perdido nada, literalmente. O sea, es que no ha perdido nada. Es una auténtica jodida locura. Y aquí Ariandel, pues sí que perdió un partido. Que no estoy seguro, pero quizá fue contra ellos o contra uno de estos. Así que, nada, vamos a ver si ya sabéis que puede ser un 2-2, puede ser un 2-1, puede ser un 3-0, ¿vale? En cuanto un equipo llega a 3, pues ya es derrotita. Así que nada, vamos a empezar con lo desconocido y vamos a ir avanzando a ver qué kilos se juegan. Así que vamos para allá. Vale, empezamos por lo desconocido. Es 6 killer que requiere mucha habilidad, mucha habilidad. Es bastante complicado, sobre todo contra gente tan buena. Suelen sufrir bastante en la partida. Pero bueno, pocas veces, pero alguna vez he visto un 4K, pero ha sido porque se han jugado perfectamente los desconocidos. Digo, es muy difícil y además los clientes han cometido varios errores. Así que nada, Swatter, Hardware, Le Magic, Bubo, en fin, bestias contra Zaka, que es otra bestia, pero bueno, lo tiene bastante complicado. Así que a ver qué tal lo hace.
Zaka opening things up here. Again, NOKRON 5-0 right now. They want to continue their dominance. Again, this isn't a, go big or go home kind of matchup, but it's a statement piece for both of these teams. Put on a magical performance while you still can, and just prove yourself to be the dominant team. Get in your opponent's
Dudar suele ser malo, la verdad. Dudar suele ser aquí, por ejemplo, ¿os acordáis de lo desconocido que justo disparaba y la esfera, lo que es el final de la esfera, lo que, eso, el extremo era lo que impactaba? Yo creo que aquí le podría haber dado perfectamente, pero no lo ha hecho huevos, básicamente.
heads before the playoffs even begin, because you still have the
Muy buena aquí, muy buena. Perfecto, Zaka.
opportunity to do that, especially when you're able to get an early
Realmente era complicado, un tiro complicado. Antes lo tenía más fácil, pero oye, bien hecho.
onto the Magic, who's going to have to
Bien, tirar el pale para hacerse un circuito largo y que aquí lo desconocido sufra.
play this bus a little more carefully. You can see a very early pre-drop.
Puede disparar aquí, pero os digo que no va a colar, ¿vale? Aquí el superviviente este ya se lo espera. Estos suplentes son muy buenos. Va a meter por W, ¿vale? Casi seguro. No he visto el vídeo, pero os digo que casi seguro por W.
Of the bus pallet, and it seems like the Magic should be able to cleanse this weakened effect relatively soon. Firecracker not going to be effective, but a whiff in the core.
Muy bien aquí Le Magic. Yo pensé que iba a meter por W, pero no. Ha seguido lupeando, pero por tirar petardos. Ha tirado esos petardos con los que se ha defendido ahí muy bien Le Magic. Y bueno, se lleva un M1, pero es un M1. No le ha pegado el pelotazo con la bomba morada, ¿vale? Que eso es, digamos que es lo peor que tú puedes hacer como superviviente, que te impacte la segunda pelota. Y esto va a estar muy jodido. Pero si te mete un M1, perfecto, porque ahora tienes que meterte otros 2 pelotazos para tirarte al suelo.
Means that the Magic's just going to have to take a regular M1, and off that, you're going to be able to make a little bit of distance.
You are extremely brave, Zaka, opting to play the bus with the good window in your first chase here.
Aquí también se me hace que creo que está lupeando aquí para no molestar al resto de su equipo. Creo que estarán por la zona reparando y tal, y por eso no se va de esta zona, quiero pensar. Porque si no, el full W quizá lo podría haber intentado meter.
But he's actually going to get the teleport and the down there. LeMagic, you got to wonder.
Aquí error de Magic que no se ha esperado que tiene una copia ahí. Ahí debería haberlo un poco pensado, pero era muy difícil.
Why did he stay at that bus for so long when the hallucination had spawned right on the other side of the pallet? So that is going to be Zaka's first hook here. Is it going...
Ay, perdón, hablando de perks, perdón, que voy muy dorado. Interacción corrupta, agitación, gancho flagelante y erupción. Nah, unas perks estupendas. Sobre todo agitación viene muy bien para en el centro del mapa llevar al sac. Y el suplente está bastante jodido.
Pain resonance it is, so great start here for Zaka.
Lo desconocido es muy fuerte tuneleando, porque rescatan a Ampado del gancho, le mete la bomba morada y claro, ahí tu protección no te sirve de absolutamente nada. Y en la siguiente bomba pasa al suelo.
Getting use out of that agitation, and we can see the survivors working separate generators here. Significant progress on Shaq and one more, as that's going to be Hardwell already stealthing in for the save. Now, it's definitely good that the survivors have progress on these gens, but
qué buena, muy buena bomba, Bubo.
that was a seriously fast down for the unknown compared to what we usually see, as Zaka's actually going to hit a nice little weakened there onto Bubbo, who is actually removing it right now. He's not removing that hallucination, though. That might be important later.
No, mala.
Yeah, you know that Zaka's occupied, but the issue is the margin of error against this killer. Relatively high, but yeah, sticking with the hallucination right there is very risky business indeed. But
Okay, looks like it's gone now.
Yeah, I suppose that you were feeling fine because
Qué buen de frente, brutal aquí.
you knew that they were being occupied, and you also knew that they had been smashed in the face with a locker window. Not a
Pero no ha pillado distancia, se ha quedado en el sitio.
particularly polite thing to do to Zaka, but I don't
cagada.
think these teams will hear about
vale.
politeness today. Swat is going to show up to try and take
Es muy difícil defender contra lo desconocido, porque aquí lo que tiene que hacer Bill, en este caso Swatter, es hacerle body block muy de cerca para impedir que vaya hacia
a
adelante.
hit, but it kind of backfires. You end up both of them
Yeah.
getting weakened, Swatter taking an injury, and yes, LeMagic can make some distance because of the basic hit onto Swatter, but you're still weakened, and you're still dealing with Zaka, who has a hallucination over on the other side of the loop, and just barely able to get LeMagic.
Yeah, LeMagic, he removes that
believe it
weekend at the
removed.
very last second before the
Adios.
shot came out.
Yeah, Christ. And also going to be dodging up the next one as well. This does interrupt your
Yeah.
pathing a little bit.
Aquí error de Zaka, esa bomba no habrá fallado.
As you make it over to this tile here, but
Nah,
you're fine
adios.
regardless, and you're also just running the killer into the
Aquí os fijáis, Magic ha metido un full doble que te cagas hacia la derecha, de haber aguantado ahí el cheque en esas ventanas. Pero ¿qué pasa? Le han dicho que caiga para allá. O sea, le han dicho, tú en vez de caer ahí, que vas a molestar un poquillo, cáete más lejos para torpecer ahí. Bueno, se ha notado la lengua aquí de Magic, fijaos.
as you
Ha saltado y os fijáis, full W hacia la derecha.
make it over to this tile
Bueno, desde nuestro punto de vista izquierdo.
here, but you're fine regardless, and you're also just running the killer into the very other side of the map, doing the best that you can to just draw attention away. You can see that the survivors still very much focusing on the generators, prioritizing a reset onto Swatter. That makes a lot of sense. Swatter hasn't been hooked yet. There's no reason to make them, more of a target if you can get that done out the way. And also with Hardwell being about 60% on a, 75% now on another generator, you're not too worried.
Yeah, and it is significant progress on the gens for the survivors here, but Magic is dead on hook here. Teleport comes in back to the hook. You cannot give this killer a tunnel out. Just based on everything that we've seen from him this season and last season, as survivors in a competitive setting, you should be able to prevent this killer from tunneling
Ahí
somebody
visto a
out.
uno, Alex,
So,
creo que Alex.
if LeMagic is going to die
No, es Swatter.
here
O sea, sí, Swatter.
at any point before the gens are completely done, that's going to be really, really bad for Ariandel, as it's going to be Swatter here found near the hook, just chasing on this dumpster pallet here. Zaka does not want to commit, though. He knows that
Vale, vienen dos.
he can kind of just camp this. It's going to be Hardwell also in. They're going to need to do a double save here, Egder. Weaken up onto Hardwell.
Wow,
Actually,
se le ha escapado aquí Bill, que flipas a atacar. No. Aquí muy bien Salter, muy bien. Ha empezado a correr hacia el gancho cuando ha disparado a Hardwell. Ahí brutal sincronización.
it's not going to be a trade there. That's very good for Ariandel. LeMagic is going to make distance away from the hook here towards the shack. Now, that's a resource that hasn't been used yet, And LeMagic making it around the window side of the shack here, dodges out on that UVX blast, and this is where things can get bad for Zaka if he doesn't
Ha dejado una copia en esa esquina, bien hecho.
end this chase quickly. That was a hallucination just cleansed in the distance there, so Zaka knows the gens are being done over there. Teleport comes in, but LeMagic
Debería esperar un poquito más. Debería esperar un poquito más.
was holding the check spot there, not going to gain him any distance at all. See, this is going to be dangerous now for Zaka. He needs to get this tunnel out fast, or the gens are all going to be done. Weekend comes in, not going to get him any distance though, because that's going to be the shack pellet used by LeMagic. One more shot coming in.
No.
That was a Hail
No va a colar eso, es que eso no se lo comen ni de coña.
Mary into the corner, but that's not going to work on a DBD League survivor. They do not hug tiles against the unknown.
Ya está.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Said Hail Mary, Mary left the lobby entirely, and now you can see that Hardwell's come in just to be a real nuisance here, try and take a hit, but the TP's actually very sneaky. Fortunately, the Magic has this power to work with, drops it on the wrong side, this is the opportunity
Buah,
to take
qué
the shot,
fallo.
but it's just about going to be dodged out.
Aquí creo que el Mayor lo ha jugado mal, pero Zaka no se aprovecha el error.
The tunnel out still not going to be coming through, and this can only prove to be so frustrating for Zaka. With that other generator completed, finally the Magic goes down, but I can only...
Madre mía, chaval. Madre mía. El túnel ha perdido la partida completamente. La han defendido muy bien, Suater y Hardwell. Y nada, es que este kill es muy difícil. A estos niveles es... Vamos, de los kills más difíciles de jugar. O sea, tienes que jugarlo perfecto. Como no juegas perfecto, es que te hacen un hijo. Es que te hacen un hijo.
Imagine that, yeah, last gen is right there about to be completed. I think 3 stages is all that's going to be managed here by Zaka, and the survivors just so efficient, and LeMagic also putting on a bit of a clinic, especially in that
O son 3 estados o son 6, básicamente. No creo que sea ni entre medias.
final chase. Again, I know
Si consigues 6 estados de cuelga estaría bien, pero vamos, si consigue 3, derrota automática.
it isn't the strongest killer, but it's just good fundamentals, you know, don't hug the tiles so you can get caught out by anything, hold the check spot so that a hallucination teleport isn't going to mess you up or anything like that, and it's technically possible for Zaka to get some extra stages here, but I'm thoroughly convinced that these gates are already have some good progress on them, and it won't prove to be too much of a problem.
Yeah, really good play from Ariandel here. And
Aquí he hecho el TP para encerrarla y que no vaya hacia la protecnia enfrente, pero vamos, no tiene complicado.
what's crazy is that LeMagic could have actually lasted longer there. Zaka was able to get 2 UVX blasts during that weekend that LeMagic had,
Vale,
which
dejo una
means
buena
that there
copia
was
ahí.
a little bit of sloppy camera work there from LeMagic. You should be able to remove it after 1 missed UVX
Cuidado la trampilla, cuidado la trampilla.
shot. So he goes down to the second one there. But this could have been a 4-out, honestly.
Yeah. That being said, with the average being 6, I think the 3 is going to be fine.
La Claudette. Ah, mira, ahí hay marcas.
I believe it's Bubbo here,
No,
who's in
no.
a really
Nada, flipa.
awkward spot. Just
Ahí está, ahí
around the
está.
spot, but actually,
Ya está.
Actually,
but
that is
actually,
the
just left. Okay. fair
grass-colored
enough.
Claudette is camouflaging throughout the map, and Zaka just unable to find Bubbo at the broken truck.
Ya está.
Surely, no. Okay, he goes.
Aquí error del equipo de Ariandel que no se han ido antes. No sé por qué no se han ido antes. Si se van cuando toca ahora Trampy y tal, puede haber llegado búho, pero para mí se han ido muy tarde. Nada, pues 6 colguecitos. Aquí sí que el resultado es decente, ¿vale? 6 cuelgues ya es decente. Pero igualmente 2 primeros cuelgues. Mucho cuidado con eso, ¿eh? Mucho cuidado con eso. Los 2 primeros cuelgues puede contar la partida directamente, que en este caso Swatter llega a 6 cuelgues y que se haga 3 primeros cuelgues. Entonces ganaría, así que cuidado con eso. Vale, va con fuerza brutal, una perma muy buena con los conocidos, porque aunque parezca mentira, se le predropea mucho el palet para poder jugarle, digamos, cómodo. Entonces su fuerza brutal le viene muy, pero que muy bien.
Here. I don't see this a lot on the unknown.
Yeah, this is really not a common perk to see on the unknown. I tried it a little bit in pubs because I really like playing the unknown and I wanted to try different builds on him, but I didn't end up feeling like I got a ton of value out of it.
Qué bien esquivado aquí por Zaka, madre mía, brutal, eh.
So I'm curious
Obviamente Swatter lo ha hecho bien, ha esperado bastante.
to see what Swatter's going for here.
Ya habéis visto fuerza brutal lo importante que es, ¿eh? No le ha impactado porque Zaka lo ha hecho muy bien, para que lo suyo es que hubiese impactado gracias a fuerza brutal, que se ha recuperado muy rápido.
As the first chase starts on to Zaka, playing a pallet gym here, Swatter goes for a very ambitious swing, and Zaka is just going to path away from the pallet
Estos
here. Looks like he is going to take an M1 here, though. So, nice punishment there from Swatter. Going to have Zaka now going towards the shack, surely to just instantly drop the check pallet. as is tradition. No, he's actually greeting it, so I'm surprised. I've been proven wrong. Swatter is going to leave a hallucination directly next to the
Deja una
shack.
alucinación justo en el sack, está perfecto. En la puerta.
Smart choice there. Firecracker comes out from Zaka, and it looks like he's going
Muy bien para defenderse, muy bien los petados.
up onto the hill to use a balanced landing back to the shack.
No es el pared,
Bolt
no
on
es
the
el
window
pared.
comes out. Swatter trying to zone him into that hallucination. Zaka knows it's there and is continuing to simply play the window.
Yeah, it was 1 minute and 1 second.
Muy bien, Zaka sabe que no puede ir hacia la puerta porque es muerte automática, así que utiliza la ventana perfecta.
That came through from the side of when it was NOKRON on the killer side. So I'm very much looking at this to be. I'm very much looking at this chase, and I believe it has already surpassed that limit, and Zaka playing that tile very well there, just kind of break SWAT's
Qué pena, aquí Zaka ha colgado mal el id y vengo. Iba con mucho bloodlust y ha llegado muy rápido.
ankles. That being said, maybe you got a little too ambitious, but you know
Vale, ha tardado medio minuto más, pero bueno, a ver qué tal va la cosa.
that your timings are good, you're still feeling confident, and also SWAT has a lot less slowdown.
Porque Zaka aquí que tranquilamente hubiese aguantado 2 minutos en ese jungle gym.
You know, you bring a chase perk
Mientras no rompiese el paleto, obviamente, suelta.
along, and the first chase ends up being, you know, longer than the last one by an entire 30 seconds. So it's a issue for you, especially when 2 generators have already flown by, and you can tell that the NOKRON survivors are not going to let the tunnel out happen particularly easily. They have, you know, they have things like Deja Vu online, so finding the gens and getting them done is not going to be a problem for them. And Zaka isn't even like hooked in a spectacularly defensible spot. There are 3 gens in somewhat close vicinity to the hook, but again, like it's very telegraphed when
Está tirando muy buenas granadas de la distancia, pero no hay nadie ahí.
this killer is going to use those shots.
Yeah, I think if you're Swatter here, you're already thinking about going for fresh hooks to get to that to that win con of 6.
Muy bien Zinox ahí esquivando.
3 fresh. As teleport comes in, trying to get a UVX shot onto this Nancy here. Not going to work though, just not enough time before she reaches
Zinox está jugando perfecto aquí en el saque.
the window. Zynox playing the shack pretty well, and
Aprovechan perfecto para rescatar a Zaka, brutal.
I think if you're Swatter, you should probably know that you don't have time to get a tunnel out here, but as I say that, he's already committing onto Zaka off the hook. So maybe I am just wrong and stupid, and Swatter knows something that I don't, as this is going to be altruistic play coming in from Marcos.
Queda equilibrada.
UVX shot going to miss, and Zaka balance landing once again towards this long wall jungle gym in the corner of the map. Great place to chase. His teammates are going to be doing gens here. UVX shot comes in. He's going to get weakened up. Now playing this window here. He didn't throw this pallet before. He actually got hit over it. So pallet throw comes out, and that's going to be the usage of the brutal strength there. Shot comes in though, and he's actually
Aquí no puede hacer nada, ¿verdad? Sinceramente. Ha usado el jungle gym, ha ido recto y no tiene nada.
just going to go down.
Aquí no
Not
puede hacer
something
más.
we very often see is just
Aquí un compañero tenía que haberlo cubierto, sinceramente. Pero el compañero que estaba cubriéndole se fue a reparar, que no está mal hecho.
a UVX shot actually hitting and downing
Para aquí necesitaba un compi, sin duda.
a survivor with this killer. So Zaka could be put up on his second hook. These survivors, they do have significant progress though. He's going to need a little bit more if he's going to reach this win con.
Utiliza la agilidad un poquito de manera un poco rara, la verdad, pero bueno.
I think that what would be the last gen is at about 40%.
You have so much hang time for Zaka as well. And you can just let this fly pretty freely because Swatter knows that like his back is against a wall, and you don't have the luxury of being able to get an easy tunnel out or even having, you know, particularly defensible gens.
Yeah, so here's what you do here. You get another fresh hook. Zaka does not die. You can't camp Zaka here. You don't have time. You get another fresh hook, then you would leave that fresh hook, and then you find one of the survivors with 0 on them in the end game and kill that person. That gets you to the win con.
Just try and camp him to death at that point. That makes sense. That being said, Swatter
Van a tener que venir 2 para rescatarle.
is actually just going to try and kill Zaka outright. I don't think this is going to happen. I think Marcos is just. I believe Marcos is just sticking on a gen, and at the last second. Okay, no.
Están viendo Iván y Marcos.
Zynox sticking on the gen. At the last second, Ivan and Marcos can come in for a 2-man save
No llegas.
at the last possible second. They can't fumble this though. They can't fumble this, I say.
¡Oh, qué cagada! ¡Qué cagada, chaval! ¡Qué cagada! ¡Dios mío de mi amor bendito! ¿Qué haga el swatter y se agita el vacío?
Increasingly worse, but the swing at the last second, I think
En el último segundo, literalmente, brutal.
the nerves just slightly.
Aquí lo suyo habría que pegas un hit a alguien. Y le rescatan, obviamente, le rescatan para cambio de un hit, pero es que ni siquiera hit.
They got the better of Swatter there. I think you hold off on that swing. There's actually a chance that the save gets fumbled completely, or
Estos son los nervios, básicamente.
at the bare minimum you're able to get a trade out of it, right? Instead, you get kind of neither. Yes, you do take Ivan down.
Okay, yeah, so
and
he
you're
does
able
get
to
the
get
fresh
a
hook
fresh
here,
hook.
which is good. I think the whiffed swing there did kind of wake him
Vale, pues pueden dejar a morir a Iván, que no pasaría nada, ¿vale?
up to the fact that he needed to go for fresh hooks, but last gen is already done based on that progress from before. So that is going to be a third hook onto Ivan there.
Ooh,
He
wait, that's
needs
Zaka.
Zynox or Marcos. He's
Saca, hijo. Tú no puedes quitar una puerta. Tú no puedes. O sea, tú tienes que estar escondidillo, más o menos.
got Zaka here, who is dead on hook, but
Espero que la rescaten a Iván, al menos a cambio.
does he have time to
No tiene copias, es una parte muy buena.
pick this up before the fresh survivors get out the door? I'm not sure. As Ivan going to be unhooked in the distance.
Bueno, a lo mejor metió la gamba y sí que Zaka era el que tiene que abrir. Me explico. Claro, él va a abrir la puerta, tiene 2 cuelgues. O sea, al fin y al cabo, lo peor sería que colgase a Zinox o a Marcos, que tienen 0. Si colga a Zaka solo por puntuar un cuelgue más. Por mucho que muriese Iván, seguiría siendo un empate. Pero sin embargo, tira a Zaka y rescatan a Iván. Entonces yo aquí me meto un poquito la apatía con el análisis. Creo que Zaka ha hecho bien en ir a la puerta.
A hook and kill onto Zynox or Marcos here is the win for Ariandel. But that's going to be very hard to do with this killer in this situation. But also, a hook and kill onto Ivan is a tie here for Swatter. So now going
Ese palete es un truño gigante.
for Ivan, he's going to get the down there, and he thinks he does have time to go for the hook here. He can hook Swatter right next to this door, and then he's got a hallucination on this other door to try to teleport to one of those fresh survivors. Hook is going to come in here, and where will Swatter go from here? Going to immediately teleport back to the door, go for this fresh survivor. Most important chase of the game for Marcos right here. He cannot go down as the fresh hook. They need to get these 2 survivors with no hooks out the door. UVX
No le ha dado, madre mía.
shot going to come in just a
No sé
little
cómo
bit
le ha dado.
short. Misses there
Sí, lo ha tirado un poquito más corto de lo normal.
onto Marcos. He's going to be
Pues era fácil dar ese.
able to remove his weakened before another shot comes in from Swatter. Unless he has bad camera work. Okay, weakened is removed. Teleport
¿Ha salido de la taquilla o he flipado? Ah, no, de la ventana.
comes into the pallet gym, and Marcos here trying to make his way
Claro, él sabe que tiene que ir a por alguien que no tenga cuelgues, porque sumaría 2, 4, 7. Victoria.
towards this other door. Zaka here to body block just in case he needs
está,
to.
hasta aquí.
And it looks like these
Not gonna
survivors
happen.
are going to be leaving here. And yeah, that is going to be the win for NOKRON. As
Muy bien, nada, brutal aquí. ¿Este quién era? Marcos, la verdad que los 4 han jugado muy bien, Muy bien, muy bien. O sea, muy bien. Sinceramente. Sé que la primera chase ha sido la mejor, la segunda ha sido más flojita, pero tampoco podía hacer mucho. Necesitaba ahí una protección de un compañero. Pero nada, Zinox en el sack brutal. Aquí Marcos al final también. Nada, todos muy bien en la chase. Han metido ahí caña en los motores. Y le cada suéter ha sido en el gancho. Ahí ha metido un M1 al aire. Y ya toma un poco la partida, básicamente. Si no hubiese fallado ese M1, hubiese estado algo más igualada. Vale, pues primera partida para NOKRON. Vamos con el bueno del Freddy Mongas. Bubo va con el killer. A ver qué tal.
And NOKRON have
Ya sabes que para mí actualmente Bubo es el mejor killer del mundo, ¿vale? Actualmente, ¿vale? Este torneo sé que fue hace tiempo. Hace 7 meses. Pero actualmente para mí Bubo es el mejor.
like a 55% escape rate, and that is
Freddy aquí debe hacerse bastantes cuelgues, ¿vale? Bastantes cuelgues y si los metes lo hacen mal, Freddy toma muy buenas decisiones, se los pimpla a todos. Así que para mí esta partida sí que lo normal es que el killer haga bastante más que el anterior de los conocidos.
to be that ahead of the curve is
Ya sabéis que este mapa es peor para superviviente, ¿vale? Este mapa es bueno para killer por el tema de la estructura de motores y que los palets no son buenos, que digamos.
insane, and it's exactly what we say by the fact that there is, such a tier break between that there's such a tier break between all of these teams. Bobo going to be bringing, not with necessarily an unorthodox build, but an interesting one here. Bringing Thrill the Hunt to protect the ruin isn't anything new. The survivors are going to figure out there's a Thrill the Hunt soon, figure out there's a ruin soon, and then at that point just kind of shrug their shoulders and be like, oh well, loser buys the beers, I guess. The Undying as well, I feel like that
Yo esto lo recomiendo muchísimo, romper las puertas del main, lo primero de todo. Por eso se me olvidaba comentar que va con full detonantes menos carnicería 8.0. Muy buena build, la verdad, muy buena build. No tiene ninguna pega. El problema es que se puede quedar sin 3 perks en 2 minutos de partida.
that's just devious.
Eso es suerte, al fin y al cabo.
Yes, that's just devious at that point.
Yeah, going around to break all these doors, I don't hate because honestly, these survivors aren't even
Y los addons, si no recuerdo mal, eran para poder tener el teleport antes y que los suplentes estén dormidos antes, si no recuerdo mal, ¿vale?
asleep yet. So remember, Freddy's powers can't actually do anything until the survivors are asleep. So now those clocks are going to be counting down. All 4 survivors asleep, and Bubbo is starting to look for his first chase here. Zaka immediately wakes himself up on a clock there, and actually Ivan does as well. So we're already starting to see some of the counterplay that these survivors are employing against the Nightmare.
No.
So that's going to
Hostia, la garra está muy fuerte, Dios mío, qué hitazo.
be a first hit coming in onto Ivan.
Pocos de toda regla.
That was kind of throwing the Freddy hand through the pallet there as Ivan going to take a hit. And all
Este palete está muerto.
survivors have used a clock already now, Egder, which is pretty crazy. Insane greed there on that pallet from Egder, but there's no pallet here. This is a fake one.
Sí.
As
¿Qué he hecho aquí, Hugo? Porque pega siempre uno al aire, eso es un palete falso.
Bubbo just trying to deal with that W hold from Ivan, and he's actually pathing around the rock here to make it to that strong water tower
Vale, Mortal la toma por culo.
pallet. He's gonna have to settle for another hit on Zynox, just spreading that sloppy butcher here as Zynox now
Y Ruina toma por culo, pues hola.
going over towards the shack. Gets Aura there
Ah, no, perdón, era ver el aura, cierto, era ver el aura.
on to Zynox, as I believe
Cuando le patas un charco de sangre, ves su aura.
that is the pill bottle add-on, or maybe the
Pill.
Z-block. The Freddy add-ons do escape me a little bit, as I haven't played much of the new Freddy.
They've been very much reworked recently. I'd have to get that info for you, and we can get that.
Pues ahora Hugo está muy jodido, ¿eh? Va, digamos, bueno, la parte de abajo es como que ni sirve, ¿vale? Porque la parte de abajo es para defender a los otros dos, básicamente. Y nada, solo va con carne 8.0. Ah, va.
In just a second for you as well. The issue is like I understand swapping priority as Bubbo because you do have sloppy, right? So oftentimes you'd be really upset if someone comes in and takes a hit and you're forced to like do that. Well, you have sloppy, that's just even more slowdown, you know, more time that survivors have to spend resetting. You're fine with that. But it's all circled back and you found Ivan anyway. Again, it seems like these survivors, this is very
Qué buena trampa, brutal.
different. Again, new Freddy's evolving. The priority for these survivors right now seems to be staying awake, like, no matter what. You know, I believe Zaka has now
Más 20 de madera, aquí hubo fatal.
used 3 alarm clocks. Marco's probably 2 or 3 as well. Like, they are just not part of the Sleepy Club.
Brutal, Iván, ¿eh? No sabes lo difícil que es aguantar este palet. No se haces una idea de lo difícil que es. Buah. Exagera.
Yeah, and like there's no cooldown on these clocks, so you can't really blame the survivors for staying awake at any cost.
Es que esto es un, os diría, 80-20, 80 killer, 20 supervivientes. O sea, aquí nomás que el killer te pega la hostia bastante rápido.
That's gonna
Muy
finally be
buena, aguanta
the
mucho.
first down there onto Ivan. Played that front pallet pretty well. And 2 totems also have already left the
Oh, yeah.
trial. The Ruin and the Undying are already gone for Bubbo. So survivors making good time here. No generators have been done, but they have made significant progress towards getting rid of...
Sí, es verdad que lo que dice el caster, no han hecho ni un solo motor, han avanzado motores, pero es que está sin perks el killer prácticamente.
Bubbo's perks here.
Oh.
No Ruin and Undying is pretty huge. It's going to be basically just a sloppy butcher killer now for the rest of the game.
Claro. Justo lo que ha hecho el caster. Mi palabra es lo que ha hecho el caster.
And that's very much a timing issue. That down took 3 minutes and 10 seconds. The average Freddy down, granted, it's not exactly fast, but it's 2 minutes. And like we get stressed out over like 20-second lapses in like kill time. An entire minute is awful. And Bubbo, what are you doing?
Muy bien, Cinex esperando ahí muy pacientemente, muy bien.
That was very cheeky.
I was gonna say earlier, Egder, I don't think opening that door is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think there's a good reason why we see people not open that door on the Dead Dog main building, and I'm very curious what Bubbo's plan was when he hit that one.
Are you talking about the one at the bottom that he tried?
Yeah, the
to
one at the
mine
bottom.
out? Yeah, yeah, that seems like pretty standard practice, to be honest. Now, despite everything that I'm saying about the first down, it is very clear that just the fear of Freddy very much makes these gens progress slowly. Even though the first down took 3 minutes, and now this game is probably
Pues todo Dios reparando, no van a rescatarle.
at like what the 4-5 minute mark. Only one gen's been completed. It seems like the priority, and this does make a lot of sense, the priority for all these survivors is wake up before you end up committing to a generator. So I can actually, I'm going to hazard a guess right now that Zaka and Marcos, they are either going to stick their gens a little longer, or they're actually going to leave and use an alarm clock before getting back on a gen.
Yeah, so Chase now onto Zynox at this toilet pallet.
Ni viendo la hora, aun viendo la hora, se la come, brutal. O
The
sea,
back of the Dead Dog
madre
Saloon.
mía.
Many 1v1s
En un pallet que es una puta mierda ese pallet, ¿vale?
landed on this pallet, by the way. As the snare is going to come out onto Zynox here. He is asleep. Just Bubbo just continuing.
Este es otro pallet que es, sería 80-20, no, peor, 90-10, 80-20 era el anterior, este es todavía
Going to
peor.
go for an M1 mind game here. Just going to leave, though, as the unhook
Estando ralentizado, o sea, mucho más jodido. ¿va?
did come in onto Ivan.
Madre mía, vaya paletazo. Qué mal está jugando está jugando muy mal.
And that's Ivan right there, getting a stun on the wrong side of the pallet. And
Vaya
immediately
paletazo que va a comer.
using Lithe over towards the shack. Ivan needs to last here. If they lose somebody at 4 gens remaining, NOKRON's going to be in a really bad spot. As
Yeah, Ivan hit
now
second
asleep.
stage.
Asleep is Ivan at this wagon pallet. It's a pretty good pallet, but you still have to actually play the mind games well. Hindered up there by the snare. Aura on him for Bubbo. He's going to make it to this filler pallet, and Bubbo goes for the swing and realizes he doesn't have the distance, but now he's just vaulting it
Bobo está jugando muy raro,
back
La
and
verdad.
forth, and he is not going to live any longer there. Just a bit of a misplay
Ese M1 que ha metido otra vez a la roca.
there to leave the wagon pallet, I feel, and that's going to be a kill for Bubbo at 3 gens remaining, Actor. NOKRON, they really need to pop some gens here. Losing somebody at 3 to the Freddy. Okay, losing somebody at
That'll help.
2 to the Freddy. That'll help, but it's still not great.
Tiene que un 3 interesante.
Yeah, like, okay, for survivors right now, your backs are against a wall. Just playing against Freddy when you're down a survivor is so risky. One more generator is, like, kind of the absolute minimum that you need. If you get 4K'd after that, then it's a tough one, but you'll go again next time, right? If you can't bully out any one of these generators, then you do not set a very high bar for when you take your turn on the kill
Muy bien esquivado.
side, and it very much becomes a
Esto es lo normal, ¿vale? Primera mago, hostia. Esto es lo normal.
problem there. Zynox going to be eating an early hit, also slept up on account of that one, but again, Bubbo just utilizing the slowdown, and I think the build informs the decisions that Bubbo is making. It is very hit and run. Ruin actually did go down, Ruin and Undying. They went down a while ago, so that's not going to be as effective for regression anymore. In fact, you don't have any regression, but the Sloppy Butcher is still very good if you can chain injuries onto multiple
Ha calculado mal. Lo tira muy temprano.
survivors. Even though it's not a gen slowdown perk, it is still very much slowdown. It will bring the game just to a little bit of
Bien, se pega la hostia y vuelve para atrás. Muy bien
a
hecho.
crawl, you know. Maybe the 4-second heal penalty doesn't seem like a lot, but then you add that with, you know, more survivors, that becomes 8 seconds, 12,
¿Qué comunicación tienen, El otro está tal y el otro ya está yendo a la ventana.
16 over the course of the game. That can all
Oh,
really add up. And someone who can get injuries with as much ease as Freddy can is a very informed decision.
Yeah, and I just want to say Zaka has extreme respect for this killer. He had pallets nearby, and he pre-dropped them before Bubba was even in range, and he wasn't even asleep. So
Muy buena trampa.
I guess we're seeing here that comp players are extremely scared of the new Freddy for good reason, as
Tiene se está jugando como un dios, literalmente.
Bubbo is trying to get a 4K 2 or 1 here. Now Zynox here in chase at the main building once again. Gonna go for the vault, trying to make the toilet pallet again, but I don't think he makes it this
Ya
time.
está,
Gonna be
bien.
hindered up by that snare. That is going to be the down
Muy
for
bien. Tiene está jugando que te cagas.
Bubbo.
Que te cagas.
Going to be his
Fourth gen
4th stage here. Yeah, 4th gen is done. I mean, Zaka is probably on the 5th one. He's actually going to teleport to the completed gen, though, looking for that injured survivor. No, it's the
A la derecha hay algo.
healthy survivor in Marcos here. Leaving Zynox on the ground. I don't hate that, because it's not like you have any perks that have to deal with regressing generators with downs.
Yeah. And it's still gonna buy time anyway. Whether you got the hook onto Zynox, the one stage
Muy bien aquí, Hugo.
isn't nearly as valuable as bringing Zaka over to force the pickup anyway. You know, Freddy very much balanced in favor of the killer, so you know there's not going to be an unbreakable or anything like that you have to contend
Hostias.
with. Now every single
Qué buena caída,
survivor
chaval.
is injured and in such a tough spot. Zaka does make a very creative use of the balanced landing there to try and make some distance, but what's it necessarily going to be worth? This main building, very angular, often means that you can't do a lot to actually avoid those snares when they come out. That being said,
Muy bien los petardos, perfectos para que el killer no tire el poder.
you're making a pretty good run of it, but you can only, you know, utilize this window so many times. But Bubba are willing to leave, willing to kind of respect the generators. This isn't... It's not exactly a 3-gen,
la
but with
pillado con el
with
verde
the final remaining one being the...
Aquí Marcos se ha ido mucho de la estructura, no sabía por dónde venía y F.
Okay! Just interrupt my train of thought there. Very smooth drive-by comes through onto Marcos, and that
Actually, you
is
said not
wrong.
exactly a 3-gen, Egder. This is actually a lot of a 3-gen. It's
Yeah,
just
I
the
was-
one
I
on
was-
main.
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna
the
say that
Freddy
was very
teleport
silly.
makes this almost impossible for the survivors. As the
Yeah.
Freddy, he kind of comes out of the ground, like on the elevated surface of the main building. So yeah, these survivors have absolutely
Yeah, no,
3-gen
this is-
themselves.
Yeah, no, this... Yeah, sometimes we say things a little stupid here at DBD League, such as
Well,
this
it-
isn't a 3-gen when staring at the most obvious 3-gen. But
It
yeah,
can be
it's,
hard to
it's
tell
Freddy's
because of
Todo Dios herido, cuidado que esto se puede complicar.
it's
Yeah.
Freddy's verticality and the ability to teleport, which does
Yeah.
it, right?
the way that the completed generators show up on the Freddy HUD make it hard to tell.
El motor de arriba está como al 50%, creo, no me acuerdo muy bien. Ahora se me
It's just a struggle regardless. Marcos on hook. And I believe Zynox was trying to bully out that topside generator. Part of me thinks, like, how hard do you want to commit this unhook versus just getting more gen progress, you know? Like, Marcos has hang time, and because of 4K is kind of expected, and Zaka still has a lot of resources to work with, you're not feeling too bad about this, right? Zaka trying to have nerves
Creo que sigo en el motor, no, 4K.
of steel over at this pallet, but it just doesn't work, unfortunately. And now with Zynox being bullied off this gen, Zaka on the floor and Marcos still on the hook, there is no realistic way for the NOKRON survivors to be able to live this out for any longer. So the 4K...
Obviamente, este bubón no va a dejar que vayas a descolgar. Es más que obvio. No va a permitir ni de coña que vayas hacia el gancho. Aquí la verdad que nos ha pecado de demasiado valiente. Pues nada, 4K, lo que os digo, chicos. O sea, lo que os digo. Pese a haber jugado sin perks, ¿vale? Porque he jugado sin perks. O sea, literalmente he jugado con carencero de chapucero. Ya me contaréis, carencero de chapucero sirve para que los supervivientes no se curen o que si deciden curarse que tarden más. Pero tampoco se han curado en un momento de la partida. Y las chases se han dado medio bien, ya sabían en el tema de aquí el 50%, en la otra Cinos lo ha hecho muy bien, pero no sé que luego iban bastante rápido. Yo creo que podrían haberle echado una manilla, es verdad que el primer hit se iba muy rápido y nada, han dejado 3 motores aquí juntitos y partidaza. En fin, vale, pues nada, 4K a falta de un motor. Ah, vale. Se ha tirado el 4%, vale. Básicamente, ya sé que no está permitido. Así que nada, se acaba ahora. Unos perks bastante parecidas. No lleva inmortal, lleva el control de masas. Muy buena perk. Y erupción. Para que al final de la partida sé que pese a que le quiten todo, con erupción más o menos tendrá una perk bastante buena. Mismos a 2.
And you have no opportunity to win in these 4 match sets we've been doing. So Zaka starting off this game with also a big hex build, but he's got Undying instead of he's got crowd control instead of Undying, and Eruption instead of Sloppy Butcher here. So interesting build for Zaka. The Swatter already in chase here with Zaka at this edge map filler. It's next to a generator, which is going to make the loop slightly longer, but remember, Swatter was not asleep yet, so that snare is not actually going to hinder him.
El Swatter es una bestia superviviente. Es que para mí es el mejor del equipo de Ariandel.
And now, looking for another snare, he's going to get the hinder.
Justo la caga. La verdad, era imposible salir de ahí.
There,
Oh, the aura.
first hit now coming in, but Zaka is now going to have to contend with this wagon pallet and Shack.
Cae equilibrada es más que obvio.
And it's a tough little 1-2 punch. Hex in the corner of Shaq. That might be the crowd control one, and I think I see the idea of crowd control, which is just to get yourself an easier first chase. The problem is it's been
Uy, Dios mío, mi amor Benito.
called out, and sort of because of that, these chases are just being
¿Cómo no ha llegado el hit? Por Dios, Benito, ¿cómo no ha llegado?
made around the pallets and barely not getting the hit there.
He could have got that hit there. He could have got that hit there, but he just didn't swing his
Le han ido a tomar por culo la ruina.
smells
Adiós, la
enough to the
ruina.
right, I think.
Oh, and I think the impatience means that now we make main building for Swatter, and yeah, as I said, crowd control finally going to be in the mix and cause some problems,
Muy bien.
especially with a hinder here. But
Tío, diferente, maravilloso. Mami, qué defensas se están metiendo,
that's a real struggle in the head-on as well! Ariandel, what did you put in your cereal this morning, fellas? The teamwork
Le
is
metió de frente a la desconocida, le ha metido de frente al Freddy.
sublime.
That filler pallet play behind main, just disaster for Zaka. Now he's going to be vaulting this window with the crowd control, now forced to go into the pallet, and
Ahí no puede hacer nada, es o pared o M1.
Swatter
Nada.
would rather die than give a pallet hit.
Fijaros, antes tardó 3 minutos, o sea, se hizo una primera chase muy larga y aquí ha tardado prácticamente la mitad.
For Zaka, and he is going to go down there. So, I mean, first down does come in for Zaka, but it could have been a lot faster. Big misplay on that filler pallet out behind main.
But the really weird thing is that Zaka first down is like infinitely better than the Bubbo first down that we saw earlier. That came through at a
Pues control de masa toma por culo. Ha sido gracioso como se metía la mano en esa cabeza y saltaba, la verdad.
I picked choosing to vault in a very intriguing way there, but regardless, that first down came through 146. If we recall from the Ariandel killer side, that was a 3-minute first down. Plus, you're going to get a very kind of fast unhook there onto Swatter. Definitely letting him hang for just a little bit of time, but not too much eventually. Swatter gets the fast vault as well, and the fact that this hasn't been broken means that it gives Swatter a path to drop down, use the bounce landing, and get over to Shaq. Crowd control now very much out of the game, along with Ruin. So now you're out of slowdown perks, you just have the eruption to deal with, but you haven't applied it to any generator yet because you're, kind of too focused on getting these downs. And I don't despise the eruption, but it's definitely, if it does get value, it's going to be something that happens more in the mid to late game
Como le metan otro de frente y verás tú qué jajillas.
than it is in this early game.
Yeah, he's gonna hit the snare there. A few of
Ay, he sufrido mucho, tío. Pienso que me comeré yo el de frente.
those snares were missing.
No llega,
So
no llega.
finally going to be catching up with Swatter here at this window. Another whiff though. Swatter gonna last just a few more seconds. Survivors on the generators. We would like to see at least a couple more pop. Yeah, there's gonna be one.
Segundo motor.
That was iPick and one other survivor doubling. And
Buah.
yeah, not actually a lot
Se me ha ido.
other gen progress. Okay. There's LaMagic working one injured, but that one's pretty close to the. Actually,
Pues sabéis que ese sótano es el mejor para el superviviente, ¿vale? Porque allí no hay motores, no hay nada que vigilar. Hay un motor por allí detrás y el motor de aquí de encima. Pero este sótano está mucho más céntrico, es peor para los supervivientes.
never mind. I thought basement was Shaq for a second. It is not. So LaMagic in a safer spot than I thought. The teleport was used by Zaka, but it didn't get him any sort of immediate chase. So Zaka now extending out towards this water tower gen. Gonna find 2 survivors here on this gen in the middle of the street. Applies eruption to it, and just those survivors just going right back to the gen there. They know that Zaka wants this tunnel out, and they are free to do whatever they want on that gen. It is going to be popped there, and now it's going to be about getting Swatter out of basement here. If they really want to secure this 4K0 result that they need to get the win con, they need to have 4 survivors standing for as long as possible.
Zaka not really using the teleport. He'll come out onto LaMagic, and
Ahí viene
yeah, who are you
Epic.
going to send here? iPick trying to get through in the basement, going to get
Muy bien, Epic, el derecha izquierda, se la ha colado.
blocked up, but eventually able to just about get the grab onto Swatter. And you can see right now, Zaka has no intentions of the trade, just wants to get this bill out of the game sooner rather than later,
Queda equilibrada, muy bien.
and not actually going to be
No, recordad que aquí tienen 10 segundos, pero muy
able
mal.
to make a long distance, but the bounce landing again!
Adiós la partida por este error, adiós.
Zaka, what's happening with your gloves? You might need to sharpen them up just a little bit, and eventually being able to make it through that window means that Zaka just sort of accepts, fine, I have to down iPick. Swatter making so much distance off the back of that one. You know, small consolation means that you're able to at least use the eruption there. It does get a little bit of regression over on the gen on the other side of the map, but that's really good team play coming out from Ariandel.
Muy bien, Epic,
Yeah, the altruistic play there from Swatter means, or from iPick means that Swatter
Pero vamos, ahí en el saque le ha cagado Zaka. O sea, se la ha liado pardísimo.
is going to
No solo ha dejado que Epic llegue, sino que también ha dejado que Swatter salga.
make full distance at the main building, and he's now used that to get
Y luego sabiendo que tiene que dar equilibrada, ha permitido que salte.
over to the wagon pallet here, which he is going to not vault. Nerves of Steel there from the Bill, and that's going to be another hit coming in from Excise here on the Felix. And that is really good altruistic play here from Ariandel. Like I said before, they need to keep Swatter up as long as possible. Going to make another decent pallet here by the water tower, going around while hindered, and he's
Muy bien aquí, Zaka.
not going to make that
Muy
there.
bien.
The hinder from the snare is just too much for him. And that is going to be the kill for Zaka onto this Bill. And now it's going to be trouble
Vale, pues igual, están a la misma altura. 3 supervivientes y a falta de un motor. Van a estar igual.
for Ariandel. They are very close to finishing the 4th generator, but Teleport is going to come in
Hostia, ha podido parar el motor, no la terminó.
and force the magic off of that gen. Eruption placed on it for Zaka. Now it shouldn't be too hard for Ariandel to at least reach the tie condition here, but the win con is a whole
le
nother
ha
story
pillado.
here, Hector.
Yeah, it was pretty evidenced when we saw. It was pretty evident when we saw Ariandel play killer that getting the last generator done, even with 3 healthy survivors who haven't been hooked yet against a Freddy, is a tough time. Looking up, I'm trying to judge this 3-gen. I believe it is the exact same 3-gen that. I believe it's the exact same 3-gen as the last trial that we saw. So
No.
some things never change. So some things never change, and Eruption is also going to make it even easier to control it as well. So big problem coming out here for the survivors. Not only this is 3-gen, this is almost like a it's almost a pseudo 4-gen with the fact that you can defend the Gallows one pretty easily as well whenever you're kind of on this high ground. That being said, you're going to be splitting attention here, and I'm surprised what happened to that gen earlier, the one that was like 90% that the Magic was doing before being forced off, because both Excise and
El acabar este motor les va a meter en problemas, ya lo veréis.
Apex gens do not have nearly the same level of progression.
Oh, it's right over there in the corner. It's the yellow one with Eruption right now. I think that's the
I
one that
see.
Magic has been forced off of here.
Risky to work on, by the look of it. Very risky to
Yeah,
work on.
it seems like Ariandel here is trying to spread pressure as much as possible. Since they don't have anybody hooked right now, it is going to be a little bit confusing for Zaka to teleport to that most progressed gen and not even get a single killer instinct there. So that's probably going to tell him that Excise and iPick are spreading pressure elsewhere.
And also, because you could tell that Erupt generator did get a little bit more progress on it. Someone did tap that gen at least a little bit earlier, right? And now Zaka's attention is actually being split because this Gallows gen is, even though, yeah, you can teleport to it, it's still a fair bit out of the way. Every survivor is healthy, and they're also systematically waking themselves up, meaning that they have basically free reign to just continue
No da tan lejos, no llega tan
the
lejos.
work over on these generators. The fake pallet explosion, they're not going to be catching off the Magic. Does get hindered though. You have this pallet to work with, but honestly, at a pallet like that, it's not really a matter of, if you get hit, it's a matter of when.
Aquí le meten la trampa un poquito antes para que no corra tan lejos, ¿vale? Muy buen detalle técnico de Zaka.
Slowing up to try and, close the distance, the ability that the Magic is going to be able to make. You get over to one of these
Ha fallado.
kind of indoory tiles here with a relatively strong palette to work with, but
Uy,
one that's
Dios
still
mío.
potentially mind gameable. And I think there was a will there, but there wasn't quite a way. Fake teleport over onto the other gen just to continue to throw the survivors off their game, slow down a little bit, maybe lull the Magic into a false sense of security, but
Brutal de Magic, brutal, que te cagas aquí.
it's going to be fine. Gallows generator is completed, and oh wait, hang
And
on a
look
minute.
at iPick
Main
and
building.
Excise. They've been pressuring
La hacen el motor,
extra generators this entire
Ya está.
time that weren't the
done.
Ya está, victoria.
ones that La Magic was on, and they just
La chase con el Magic se le ha ido a tomar por culo la partida. Literalmente, los dos motos se han hecho en la chase del Magic.
said, Tycon,
That's
no thanks. We want the win con here. And that's going to be Ariandel completing all of the generators, going up 1-1 in this series. Egder, they made such good time there. That was such good, clean survivor play out of La Magic and Excise there, the way that they were pre-running away from the Freddy. Zaka just couldn't find anything. He couldn't get anything going there. Guys,
It was done. Yeah, okay, 20 or so. I'm feeling fine. You take your eye off the ball for just a little bit too long.
Pues nada, ha llegado al final de la partida igual que lo diré, que Bubo, igual, un muerto y un motor, pero Bubo lo ha hecho un tema de decisiones mucho mejor, la verdad. Aquí sacar el problema no ha sido tanto de decisiones, han jugado menos suplentes de Ariandel, pero esa última chase lo ha reventado, literalmente. Pero bueno, una situación muy complicada, muy complicada. Hay que tirar de mecánicas y pues a veces sale y otras veces no. Y ya está, no se puede hacer nada. Vale, pues 1-1. Ya por lo menos vamos a tener mínimo 4 partidas. Pues esto sería ya mínimo un 3-1, mínimo. Así que perfecto, ya no tenemos un 3-0. Vale, plaguita, vamos a ver qué tal. Va con tener más tiempo de purga corrupta y una manzanita extra para eso, para tener 2 fuentes en vez de una. Y nada, una muy clásica: Tenato, Erupción, Gancho Flagelante, Dolor Retumbante, Intención Corrupta. Un conjunto de perks que funciona perfectamente.
To this matchup, Nokron versus Ariandel, two of our top teams with Zaka. Bring the action on the Plague now. Series is all tied up.
Ya sabéis que Plaga no me gusta nada verla jugar, es muy aburrido, siempre juega literalmente igual, o sea, son como copias literalmente. Sí que cuando coge el poder mola, la verdad, es el momento divertido de la partida cuando cogen el poder, pero claro, como solo tienen el poder, en este caso 2 veces por partida, rara vez suele ser más. Pues claro, tenemos pocos momentos divertidos y siempre se juegan en una sola zona para que la plaga se vuelva fuerte, por así decirlo, con un trillen. Y nada, a ver qué tal.
1-1, and that is what we were expecting between, you know, two such closely contested teams. Zaka coming out with a build which is nothing special, but I do want to draw attention to the add-ons briefly. Oftentimes you kind of make a decision on Plague. Am I going to favor Infection or am I going to favor, you know, Corrupt Fountains? And they give you different kind of strengths depending on what stage of the game that you're at. Oftentimes those fountains can prove to be, you know, quite deadly for you when you have a couple of those apple add-ons throughout the entirety of the match, whereas the Vile Purge might give you a bit of a stronger early game if you can infect multiple survivors, however at the cost of having that lethality. Zaka has chosen to do a little bit of both, bring along that purple add-on to aid with the infection and the green apple add-on to add another pool in. Oftentimes we can see double pulls come out, sometimes we see double infection come out and just kind of say screw the pulls entirely. But first, I think to even execute any kind of plan based off these add-ons, Zaka needs to find a survivor. And it seems like the stealth is very good.
This is a set that Zaka loves to play, and he's usually very good at finding these stealthing survivors, because this is the meta against Plague, Suffocation Pit.
No he visto de mirar hardware.
You're supposed to wait out the entire Corrupt Intervention. And if I'm not mistaken, Egder, that purple add-on down there is the Devotee's Amulet, which is actually the Corrupt Purge timer increase. And then also the yellow apple there, I think is a plus 20 seconds to the Corrupt Purge.
Este creo que es el peor momento de la partida, de inicio, que ves que no encuentras a nadie. Este es el peor momento, pero con diferencia.
But yeah, Corrupt Intervention about to...
Yo cuando jugaba a Scream sé que lo pasaba muy mal. El inicio de la partida que no encontraba a nadie, lo pasa súper mal. Sobre todo antes de esa intervención corrupta, que ya vemos 2 minutos no encuentra a nadie. Es como jugar sin intervención corrupta. Vamos, que ahora mismo Zaka está bien jodido.
Run out here, and Zaka completely unable to find a survivor. So really good play here out from Ariandel so far. It's exactly what you want to be doing here against this Plague. Don't give any infections for free. As you see Bubbo here and Swatter, they're just sitting next to those infected gens, waiting for the infection to wear off. So Hardwell already on the Shack side of the map, getting progress on a gen that was corrupted until a second ago. So honestly, this is a great start for Ariandel. They're already getting out ahead before a
Algo sigue reparando el motor de allí del fondo, del lado del saque.
chase has even begun.
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes the early game against a plague is a quite delicate
¿Veis? Aquí sigue.
thing. It slows down to a crawl. Avoiding that first infection for as long as possible is a strong priority for the survivors, and just generally having.
¿Cómo se dan los avisos, para que se vayan del solucionador, para que se vayan del motor?
Eventually, someone will get infected, unless you do some, crazy stealth and the killer just doesn't have arms. Someone's going to get infected eventually. The longer you can delay that, the longer that you can kind of delay the chain reaction. And the general principle is you don't really want to be cleansing.
Creo que esta va a ser la primera chase más larga que yo he visto en la historia de lo que llevo analizando competitivo,
But you want to have as few survivors. O
sea, pensé que la partida ha empezado en el más o menos 38-51. Ya llevamos 3 minutos, chicos, y nada, no hay nadie infectado ni nada. 3 minutos, o sea, esto va a durar 4 y medio como mínimo, o 5 diría yo.
Infected as possible. Because again, it just shows that chain reaction. The moment the first person gets infected, eventually they'll get downed. Someone has to come for the rescue, and then that causes another infection. And then suddenly those two people will struggle to, work on gens. Finally, our first survivor spot has been found, and yeah, there it is.
Bueno, le hace que se infecte tirando el paleta, así que no está mal.
Infecting the pallet means that even though Zaka gets stunned and has to take some time there, the timer has now begun for the survivors with the swatter infection, and Zaka actually doesn't seem to want to continue.
Vale, ya la he visto a Hardwell.
Swatter actually just wants to spread this infection a little bit more, which makes sense considering the thanatophobia. Force the eventual slow injuries onto these survivors, get that passive slowdown, kicking.
Yeah, so he's actually just going to puke on the pallet in the window there to infect Hardwell. I feel like we're
Ya vemos que esta zona le salió bastante bien de motor, así que lo normal es que se quede aquí.
seeing this a lot more now in these Season 10 Plague sets, where the Plagues are just kind of abandoning the playstyle, where they're just trying to use the Vile Purge directly on a survivor, and instead just starting a normal chase and infecting the environment to get those infections rolling, as Eruption going to be placed down onto that gen in the middle of the map. And now Zaka thinking about committing towards this main building, as Swatter going to be fully infected, just reapplying that infection. He really wants to try to find Bubbo or Excise here to get towards that 4 stacks of Thanatophobia, or maybe find an opportunity where he wants to use the Corrupt Purge on multiple broken survivors. So really slow play coming out from Zaka so far. Doesn't seem like he really wants to commit anywhere but the bottom side of the map. And why would he? It looks like we only have 2 gens that are actually on the top side of the map. There's one in the middle, and then like a 4 gen on the bottom side. So now Chase going to be on to Hardwell here. Broken at this pallet outside of main building. That swing not
aquí se ha tirado a la piscina, pero con todo, literalmente, pero no llegaba.
going to connect though. Hardwell is going to get the stun, and
Queda equilibrada.
now path towards this hill. He's got the balanced landing, but where is he going to go with it? He's a little bit zoned, only going to make this filler here. Just immediately drops it there as Zaka going to place Eruption down onto another gen, and that's going to force him to leave. He's been away from his important gens for too long, and he's worried that Bubbo and Excise might have snuck in to get some progress there while the gens aren't infected.
Not just slowing this game down to a crawl, Prime, but slowing it down to like an
Tiene una comunicación exquisita este equipo, es brutal, tío.
absolute slugfest here. Bubba and Excise have to be so careful. They want to avoid the infection as much as humanly possible. If this is any consolation, it finally gives Hardwell and Swatter the kind of go signal to work on some faraway gens. Even if Zaka infects those, at this point it's kind of a bit of a, we're infected anyway, we're not really going to lose anything. Actually going to be ingesting a corruption, and yeah, it is as you said, I have done my research and fact-checked myself now. That purple add-on is not for infectivity, it will make that corrupt purge last 20 seconds longer. So make that a little more effective for you, make that a little more deadly. And
no sé quién es este, pero que se dé por jodido.
With Swatter being the one found in the corner, this can get really deadly. You're zoned into a corner, you don't really have any other options, and
6:30, yo esto no lo he visto en mi vida. Creo que esto es récord, Ahora a ver si lo dicen los casters, pero yo creo que esto es récord,
I
6:30.
suppose that's kind of your best case scenario. If you don't have anything to work with against such a strong power, why burn resources? Instead, just burn time. Because that's the one biggest resource that you have.
This is perfect for Ariandel here. Pain Res is going to come out, but like this could not be better for Ariandel.
Creo que no han dicho nada del tiempo, pero yo creo que 6 minutos y medio es, vamos, el cuelgue más lento de todo lo que llevo viendo de historia de la DBDLEAGUE.
They've just had Swatter go down all the way in the back corner of the top side of the map. And now, I mean, Bubbo in chase here with the Corrupt Purge. He is going
¡Buah, qué buena de Zaka! Brutal por la ventana,
to take a hit there. Oh, but he actually gets hit through the window
Brutal,
as
muy
well.
bien.
Okay, this might not actually be great for Ariandel. I was going to say it was before because
Esto es una putada, para el equipo de Ariandel. Está el gancho y el desbloqueado está al lado.
they had a survivor all the way in the corner of the top side of the map while they worked on the 4gen on the shack side. But Bubbo getting
Tiene un gancho aquí al lado, a ver si llega.
found was not on my bingo
Prefiero llegar antes de que lo descuelguen a Soter.
card there. He actually just gets two-tapped by the Corrupt Purge, and now they've got two survivors hooked next to each other. Now, it's not in the part of the map that they want to be, but this is going to force some cleanses here.
Yeah, like, I mean...
Están todos heridos, buah, están mega jodidos ahora mismo, Buah.
But you can't get the pick on Bubbo
Aquí le ha cagado Bubbo que flipas cayendo al lado de Soter.
without infecting. And even though, yes, you avoid that cleansing as much as possible, having every single survivor constantly broken is not a position you want this game to be in, especially when Zaka is able to land some nutty corrupt purges like that. Also is in a spot to just be
Muy bien hecho, guardando más el cuello de Swatter, que está más, digamos, más a punto de llegar al segundo stage.
proxying both of these hooks. You recognize that maybe now Bubbo's gone from under your nose, and you accept that because it means that Swatter ends up getting to second stage. And yeah, Ariandel was in such a dominating position before, and then Zaka got some incredible hits with that corrupt purge that was able to turn the tide of this game massively.
So now we're
Para mi equipo de Ariandel se le han tomado mucha calma reparando talentos del principio. Que lo único que le han hecho mal, en plan aguantar la interacción corrupta y tal, pero como que lo han hecho muy poco a poco. Y Zaka cuando lo ha tenido, le ha aprovechado el momento
in
estupendamente.
a situation with 4 gens remaining where Zaka can actually be content to camp Swatter to death, even though he's not in his area where the gens are located. Even though he doesn't have a corrupt purge here to work with, unless he goes all the way to the middle of the map here, which it looks like he might.
El problema de esto es esto, que tiene el cuelgue en la zona que no interesa, básicamente. En la otra zona sí que interesa mucho campear.
No, he's actually not going to take the corrupt purge. Still thinking about it, maybe he must know that the survivors here are all on the bottom side right now, so that
Muy buen timing para pillar la fuente.
is going to be the corrupt purge taken for Zaka. He's going to be
this is gonna be
going back
deadly.
to the hook here. This could be very bad for Ariandel, as yeah, if you are the injured survivor here, you have to just not go anywhere near Swatter's hook right now. That's going to be Exile
Otras dos malos no van a servir para nada.
is the only healthy survivor, getting caught out in the open with the corrupt purge, not going to land the follow-up hit though. That would have been almost game over
Pues ya
here for
está.
Ariandel if that landed.
Yo creo que esto ya es partida para NOKRON, chicos.
Exercise making it to this double window tile
La tiene muy bien hilada Zaka ahora mismo la partida.
should be
3 supervivientes y 3 motores, imaginaos.
extremely difficult to survive here against the plague. Goes for the window fake here with the corrupt purge, not going to land. Excise makes it back around the side here of that double window. He's gonna fake the window again and try to hold W. He just barely makes it around the corner there. Nice check spots here from Excise. He is still going to go
Aquí están muy nerviosos, se les nota. Si os fijáis aquí, se ha metido el pasillo, no ha cogido el spot, ha ido por W.
down in the end, but that is going to be a third generator done for
Pero bueno,
Ariandel
le han hecho el tercer
as
motorcito.
they get another down here for Zaka. Yeah, I mean, we're at 2 gens remaining. There is somebody on a gen right now at main building, but it looks like, Egder, that is where the hook is going to come out. Not a pain res, but this is still not a good situation for Ariandel to be in the 3v1 here with 2 gens to go.
Yeah. I'm trying to see from Zaka's perspective. You also have a... Is that a corrupted pool right next to the generator? I believe so, and that is... That would be absolutely lethal. And yeah, this is a really tough position for the survivors to be in right now. Literally all coming off the back of this one hit.
Aquí Bobo está muerto en este palete.
It doesn't seem like that pool near the gen was corrupted, but
No me hagas esto, Zaka, por favor. Aquí no le des la ventana de cara.
it is going to still be the fact that everyone is injured in a really tough spot on the map. Bubbo really doing the damnedest right now, has this pallet which does lead back into the window of main building to work with, so it's not the worst setup in the game for you, especially if you're able to get a stun onto Zaka
Éxito aplastante, muy buena aquí de Bobo.
and just, you know, force that to make some distance, especially because it seems like you have a smash hit on your side too.
Yeah, smash hit from Bubbo there. Very nice.
Ese paleta se intenta provocar que te lo tire y el suplente está muerto casi seguro, vamos.
Very nice stun, playing that very unsafe pallet there outside the main building. He actually makes another filler
Ahí tiene un palet muy bueno, un God palet.
here, which is going to force Zaka to leave. But still, things go from bad to worse here for
Bueno, no es God palet, pero es un muy buen palet ese que iba Bobo.
ARIANDEL, as even if they finish that main building generator, they still have yet to break the 3-gen on the shack side, which has a corrupt pool right in the middle of it here. Zaka going to be taking that corrupt purge now. He wants to end this game before any generators get done, as he spots a injured survivor there in the middle of the map. Main building gen is going to get done, which is good for ARIANDEL, but not great. You do really want outs on Plague Suffocation Pit, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be getting them here, unless Hardwell here can juice up. Goes for the vault on that main building window.
Muy buena aquí, Zaka.
Vault's back, not going to make it back again, though.
Bueno, los suplentes están siendo muy inteligentes de lupear aquí, ¿vale? Porque aquí no hay problema por caer, pero si caes en otros sitios, jodes a otro equipo entero.
That's going to be another down
Vamos,
here for
enterito, los
Zaka.
jodes.
Possible pain resonance. I know he hooked. Yeah, it should be a pain resonance here. He's only used one this game, and it was on Swatter. And yes, that hook was the pain resonance.
Ahí
So,
está.
going to hit this gen on the bottom side that Bubbo is working
Qué cagada. Le he escuchado toser seguro, 100%, seguro.
on, and
X6 aquí, hijo, no te puedes quedar aquí tan cerca del gancho.
X-Size
Oh.
gets found near the hook. That is just so bad for ARIANDEL. I think that is the final nail in the coffin here. Bubbo was working a gen
No.
of 2 survivors hooked next to each other, and this is probably another pain res.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
I think this is
Bubbo do a gen challenge
está.
difficulty impossible. This is really just often, only
Se rinde, obviamente, ya no pueden ganar. Y nada, pues muy buena partida de Zaka, muy buena, muy buena. Hacerse 4K, falta de un motor. Esto no es nada fácil, os digo yo. O sea, no es nada fácil. Así que, a priori, yo creo que bueno, va a ganar esta ronda NOKRON. Vale, vamos con Bubo. Va prácticamente con la misma build. Vale, va con la mierda esta y que esto era para tener carga rápida, creo, de lanzar la purga y una mancita para tener 2 fuentecitas.
gen. You just cannot have every single person like be injured the entire game. So
No, calla, es para que esté más en infección en los objetos. Como cambiaron los colores, se me...
we're going to see that difference here. Bubbo, interesting pick here. Agitation with no pain resonance. So not even valuing the agitation just to guarantee the, you know,
Pues no, va sin gacho flagelante, la verdad.
gen regression from pain res, but just for being really selective
Yo a mí me gusta más gancho flagelante que agitación, sinceramente.
about hook positioning, which is something that I very much respect. In terms of the add-ons, we have the apple there, and then the hematite seal. So that is going to be the one that does actually increase infection. Not on direct survivors actually, but just on props that you hit with your Vault Purge.
Yeah, and I think this build here coming out from Bubbo is essentially a I am going to 3-gen build. I
Sus petardos han sido un poco
don't
raros.
care about pain res, I'm carrying you to my 3-gen and putting you in there. So I think that's how Bubbo is going to be playing this. Now
Muy
he's
bien,
going to
Zaka.
need a 4-gen if he wants to meet the win condition here. But first chase now
Ventana va. ¿no?
onto Zaka. He's infected up the resources
Uy.
at this tile, and that's going to result in
Quizá que se ha equivocado.
Zaka getting hit, or he really did not want to get infected. Vile Purge coming out now, and it is
Vale.
going to land, so infection there onto Zaka.
Para que veáis, Bubo, que rápido empezó la partida, y a Zaka le costó 6 minutos y medio colgar al primero.
That is a much
O
faster
sea-
first infection than we had in the last game there.
Pero bueno, esto no es como empieza, sino como acaba. Ya habéis visto, Zaka tardó muchísimo y 4K. Así que, pero bueno, porque Lo hizo muy bien, la verdad.
And also we talk about the stealth element. Zaka was found
Bueno, acabó uno de sus miembros, mejor dicho.
out relatively early too. Yes, the first down is still going to take a while, but first injury and first infection was really quick. And actually, an early use of the corrupt purge here. What is this idea all about? I mean, the timing is decent because the corrupt is ending, so you have a vague idea that Zaka will be in that area. But ultimately, what I don't really want to see is this entire corrupt being used just to down Zaka on top side. I just don't think that would be a particularly worthwhile use of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a gambit from Bubbo. He knows that he needs an early down. He knows his win con is 4k2.
Buah, qué esquive, madre mía. Saca, tío, te lo juro que tiene cada sacada de polla.
So he really needs this now. So Zaka gonna make that vault there on the main building, dodging out on that corrupt purge. He's fully infected now, makes that strong window once again, and you really do need this down now if you're Bubbo. Corrupt purge coming out once again, and Zaka going to dodge around it, making it behind the tree
Starka es buena contra Plaga.
as well. And now just a little bit of time remaining on this corrupt purge. Bubbo, he needs this down right
Pues nada, le ha hecho cojones Bubbo, sinceramente. Le ha hecho cojones, salió bien.
now, and he's going to get it with the M1. So nice job there from
Esto es un tiempo más normal, entre 2 minutos y medio y 3 minutos. Tiempo normal.
Bubbo, but that really was some nice survivor play from Zaka. Able to waste that entire corrupt purge. He is the only infected survivor right now. Going to be put up on a hook on the top side, and let's try to check what the state of the gens is here. Is there actually something that Zaka can hold on, or something that Bubbo can hold, sorry, on the top side? Got one in the middle, 1, 2. Have to look at the other corner here. Doesn't look like there's much of a 3.
Ahora lo pienso, tío. Bueno, no he dicho nada.
Yeah, there isn't. Put it bluntly, there just isn't a 3-gen on this top side, which is really unlucky. You kind of expect a very reliable 3-gen to spawn on this top side. I remember what we were saying earlier.
Parece que era el mismo motor, pero no, eran dos motores diferentes que empezaron al unísono, literalmente.
About the existence of agitation.
Aquí tiene un motor, tiene dos motores cercanos y uno muy lejano, ¿no? Creo.
Force the hooks in your top side 3-gen.
Ese está bastante lejano, el de allá, del fondo.
Well, suddenly that strategy's out the window. Now,
Y tendrá otro aquí,
now
supongo.
2 generators on the bottom side have been completed. Like, yes, you do have a 3rd generator in this general region, but it's not directly on the top side. It's in one of
Aquí está el otro. Pues estos 3 motores no es un trilleno, o sea, están todos del mismo lado, pero están bastante separados.
those loops, which is generally considered to be the middle of the map. It's not very easily defendable here. Instead, you're going to play a kind of watchtower simulator. I suppose, stand on the hill with your corrupt purge, see Zynox, and you look like you're going to be committing for the chase.
Zaka está muerto, chicos, aquí yo creo. Yo creo que no lo pueden sacar.
But no, you recognize that you kind of want Zaka out the game as soon as humanly possible, and drawing yourself over to this 3rd generator, which is proving to be kind of just kind of thorn in the tiger's foot here for Bubbo.
Okay, so there is technically a 3-gen somewhere.
Pues mira, porque persiga a Iván, si no, no puedo
But
rescatarle,
it
¿no?
is not good. That gen over in the middle of the map, you could technically consider it part of a 3-gen, but yeah.
Aquí se le ha colado que flipas, mal jugado por él.
Zaka going 2nd stage here. Bubbo with a little bit left on the corrupt purge. He's going to be looking for this tunnel out, and if he can get that tunnel out, then he's going to be trying to hold this 3-gen to get the tie. I think getting the win is out of the question here for Bubbo, and that's why he camped. This is why he camped Zaka to 2nd stage on the top side of the map. They want the tie here to be able to go into that Wraith, that
Muy bien que me sentido aquí de Bubbo.
final Wraith set, and go for the win in that set. So Zaka, now he has 1 filler pallet here. How well can you play this filler, Zaka? Most important chase of the game right here. Going to drop it, go back down towards the other side, vaults it there,
Muy bien, Zaka.
gets the 50-50.
Sí, justo le iba a decir, en plan, necesita ayuda. Aquí necesita ayuda.
Bloodlust coming in
Venecinos, que está con la enfermedad puesto, sí que perfecto.
from Bubbo, and he senses that an altruistic hit might be coming in. Yeah, that's going to be
Muy
Zynox
bien.
here.
Y le da campo para que corra Zaka, muy bien.
Trying to take a hit for Zaka. It's going to succeed. Zaka now back around the side of the main building. He's going to make this window, even with the medium vault. And this medium vault means that he's going to make it back to the stronger window at the front of the main building. 3-gen is broken.
No va a la ventana porque si va a la ventana está muerto. Se viene aquí el palet.
That middle gen is now gone, and now Zaka here. He's got another pallet. Bloodlust coming in, and another hit. Egder, I think this is really starting to slip away from Ariandel at this point.
This is dominance right now, but Bobo's just desperately trying to work this one through to get the hit onto Zaka.
Buah, chaval, qué bien lo ha hecho Bobo, brutal. Y aquí se han entorpecido bastante. Creo que ha sido cagada de Marcos aquí, Las cosas como son.
Because it's the only thing you can do, and you do get it, and it's very, very flashy, and it is going to secure your kill. That being said, like, you are... The 3v1, I guess, is when the game really starts, but looking at the split of these generators, it is not very good for Plague. Plague has a lot of...
Pues nada, se hacen el motor, ganan. Y si no, pues empate.
Strengths, you know, the constant pressure, kind of map-wide pressure from those infections when you keep objects infected for a long time. Something that is helped with that Hermetic Seal add-on. What she does not have is mobility. And Zynox, and at this point, if it means bullying out the final gen, I don't think these survivors care that much about getting
Pero bueno, hay un motor en otro lado y dos aquí, entonces se pueden hacer cositas.
Infected by tapping a gen. Even if they do, that's what Zynox is for. Zynox can always just be the, you know, stealthy survivor, the sneaky one. And then even if only any of the other survivors get infected in chase, that also just makes them, like, have the ability to get on a gen anyway. So even if Ivan and Marcos right now are still...
Por cómo están los motores deberían ganar, ¿vale? Las cosas como son.
Doing their damnedest.
Si esto lo pierden o lo empatan, mejor dicho, es cagada completa de supervivientes.
To avoid touching an infected generator. Well, I say that until Marcos does exactly that. Yeah, there is no reason to care at this point.
Yeah, so going to be finding Zynox here on this hill. Pretty sure he's got the balanced landing. Going to make distance towards Shack. And this is a fully resourced bottom side of the map here. Not really going to be able to do much in this chase unless Zynox seriously messes up. As the Shack pallet going to be instantly dropped there. And Bubbo going to have to leave. There's just too much for Zynox to work with on this side of the map. He's walking all the way down to the top side, and it's not...
Muy bien, joder, muy bien, perfecto. Uno en otro lado, se lo lleva para la colina, dos aquí reparando, perfecto.
Going to matter. That is going to be the final gen popped here for NOKRON, and that's going to be them going
2-1 para NOKRON.
Up 2-1 in this series here. Now,
ya como poco se van al empate, como poco.
Only a tie is possible for Ariandel as we go into this Wraith set.
NOKRON hold on to their precious undefeated record for just a little bit longer, but right now, that's looking 5-0-0. 5 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties. There is still an opportunity to get the tie here for Ariandel. And again, that wouldn't be...
Vale, pues nada, será 6 cuelgues y para casa. Perfecto, muy bien, ¿no? Muy bien jugado por España. Han jugado que te cagas, la verdad, sinceramente. Han reparado donde tocaba reparar y eso que la partida ha empezado muy rápido, habéis visto. O sea, el primer cuelgue ha sido a los 2 minutos 45 segundos y el otro fue a las 6:30. O sea, muchísima diferencia de tiempo. Pero nada, lo han sabido llevar y muy buenas chases. Se han tenido que proteger cuando se han tenido que proteger. Y nada, espléndido. Vale, vamos con cerditas este. Ah, no, es Espectro. Ostras, hace mucho que no veía Espectro. Hace mucho, Hace mucho que no veía Espectro. Lo juegan ahora en... Muy interesante. Lo juegan en... Lo diré, el mapa del Pyramid Head. Nunca me sale el nombre, tío. Soy... Midwich, ¿no? Era... muy interesante, vamos. Antes se jugaba el Espectro en Torre de Carbón normalmente, pero vamos, ha cambiado. Vale. También se juega en el oeste, pero bueno, nunca se había jugado aquí. Aquí se jugaba pues la cerda y draga, y creo que ya está. Vale, va con reaparecer rápido y moverse rápido, pero va sin romper rápido. Os digo, me gusta más reaparecer con romper, pero este también está muy bien, ¿eh? El de moverse rápido parece no, pero eres un torpedo y te puedes poner muy bien delante de los clientes de manera sencilla. Interacción corrupta, para mí es mala perk en este mapa, sinceramente, pero bueno. Ruina, interacción, carnicel chapucero y erupción. Muy buen combo de perks, vamos, yo creo que sobra interacción corrupta, la verdad.
We've already got corrupt intervention.
Yo hubiese puesto ruina, por ejemplo, hubiese ido muy bien.
Spawning into the map here, and Bubbo is just already finding a survivor here at this bad pallet on the top of the library. Pre-drop coming in there from Zaka, and he's going to immediately...
Aquí Zaka no estaba puesto en un buen check spot para vigilar los pasillos, a ver dónde venía el espectro.
Take a hit here. So first hit spread is going to be the sloppy butcher applied, and now Bubbo you know, I just actually made a joke about hit and run wraiths, and then Bubbo just had to go and ruin it for me. He leaves Zaka.
But here's the thing, Bubbo. When I think Bubbo, and this might be a little niche, but I think Dredge on Midwich. Because Bubba was obviously that's been picked up a lot recently, but when that first came into play, Bubba was by far the best performer.
Well, I have
Dredge
good
on
news for
Midwich.
you then,
And
Hector,
I'm saying, right, it's a stealth killer on Midwich.
¿Veis? Aquí es donde están los momentos bien colocados. Un buen check spot, al lado de un palet, y así le dicen a tus compañeros, está conmigo tal, y se pueden poner a reparar.
Again, and it's like, well, this seems to be kind of in his wheelhouse, doesn't it?
He's got Windstorm here. No Shadow Dance out from Bubbo. But about the Dredge, yes, Bubbo is the Dredge guy, and that's why that was NOKRON's first ban today.
Brutal aquí, Zaka, y muy mal Bubo. Como si este palet y encima darle la puerta.
Yeah, I get it. Me too, man. I find it odd that they're not willing to against Bubbo's Dredge on Midwich. Fair enough, but they are willing to go against the Wraith. Zaka in that last chase was able to extend their life just a little bit longer, betting a good stun. Now Zynox kind of forced into an awkward position, as this window always is.
Muy bien, aquí Zinox amagando con un ventanado palet.
Just about getting zoned away from the window, able to get over to the pallet. And yeah,
Muy
no
bien.
faster break on the pallet.
Este palet no es muy seguro cuando lo tiras, Spice, no es seguro.
What do you think about that decision?
Ya lo habéis visto.
I think it's not so much that he doesn't value Shadow Dance, just that he
Yeah.
values Windstorm that much more. Going to be looking to cut survivors off in certain places. Yeah, immediate pre-drop on that Infirmary God palette here out from Zynox, and he's going to be going, and he's offering Bubbo to build him a house. And I don't think Bubbo liked that answer, as he's just going to leave that courtyard double palette. Heals coming in here between Marco and Zaka, and now Bubbo choosing to chase Marcos here.
Aquí mal timing, lo tira un pelín temprano.
Nice swing and a miss, though. Going to be removing another resource from the map. Just not enough distance to get that swing. I think if he had gone for the other side of the pallet, he would have had the distance. Oh, and just
No era mala mago, pero casi se lo come.
barely gets that hit there onto Marcos. I thought that was almost going to be a whiff.
Yeah, and I think that movement speed that we were talking about does help
¿Veis lo rápido que va con la onda de velocidad de movimiento?
when you're in the cloak state as well.
Una barbaridad.
I guess, I am surprised because this is a very pallet-heavy map, so not having faster pallet break can prove to be a problem. But often, I suppose, just being able to catch up in the cloak state also works for you as well. It seems to be a matter of preference here, and it works with Bubbo because you're actually able to zone Zynox into a really awkward spot here. Pallet in this room has been used, at least the first one. You don't have nearly enough distance to get to the second. So finally,
3 minutos, mucho tiempo, la verdad.
Zynox is going
Lo normal serían 2 minutillos o por ahí.
to be going down. Bubbo's going to be getting the first hook. Definitely taking quite a while there. 3 minutes and 5 seconds for that initial down. Comparing that to how a Wraith generally does, we've not been seeing a ton of it, but they have been able to get that a lot quicker, a minute and a half or so. So actually quite slow for Wraith. Pretty good play from the survivors, especially because, you know, the first hit came onto Zaka, and Bubbo wasn't really willing to prioritize the kill onto Zaka as much as spreading the pressure onto people like Marcos and Zynox, who've just been able to reset anyway.
Yeah, the gens have been done a little bit slower than you would think, given how long that first down took. But that's because NOKRON is being extremely
Ven a aprovechar ahí la chase de Marcos para descolgar.
deliberate about resetting here. They've been healing up almost every time they get hit, and that's going to be the unhook here onto Zynox. Zaka
Muy bien, Zaka ahí, importunando justo en el caminito.
standing in the Wraith's way. He is going to get called out and hit through that pallet, though. He's been dropping those, but Bubba was like, you know what, I don't think you're dropping it this time, Zaka. So that's going to be a free hit there. It's another person that can't take more than one hit in defense of Zynox here, as Bubba, actually, he's leaving. Is he going to interrupt
En esos palets hay que lupearlos, ¿vale? Es muy arriesgado lupear ahí, muy
the
arriesgado.
generator here, possibly
Lo normal es que te salga rana.
with the ruin? Yeah, that's going to be the gen interrupted, and he's going to find the injured Marcos here. Doesn't have anywhere to go, and nice game sense there from Bubbo.
Problemas de que haya peor comunicación y está herido. Falta un espectro.
Wanting to get the ruin value here, and now he's actually just going to leave Marcos on the ground. thinks that he has time to go find this reset onto Marcos, or sorry, onto Zynox, but no, he's actually going to find the only injured survivor in Ivan.
Yeah. Kind of calls that the pallet drop's going to come through, doesn't opt to swing through for it. Flashbang, or sorry,
Muy bien, Iván ahí.
Firecracker not going to, you know, get
Muy
the
bien.
effect of actually blinding the killer, but does force him into a bit of a predicament. And again, Bubbo just, like, leaves, and you're putting a lot of stock in being able to identify exactly where these survivors are, like, which gens they're working on. But if you're not able to do that,
Aquí en este palet estás muerto, eh. O sea, en este palet estás
and
muerto.
Zaka and Zynox are able to get good stealth, then you kind of just give a free pickup over to Marcos for no reason. You know, you don't
This
get
is actually
you don't get
really
a hook
smart.
stage onto Marcos, you don't even get an injure onto Ivan.
Es que te puedes hasta comer el palet. O sea, aquí puedes ir como un toro, comerte el palet, que no, el suplente no va a hacer nada.
This is actually really smart from NOKRON. The hook survivor Zynox is in a locker with Iron Will. And that's why. That is why Bubbo has been, like, going around
Saca brutal, ahí apagando con el cueste lo que cueste.
not committing to anything because he's trying to find Zynox. Now, Bubbo there almost falls for the any means pallet fake there from Zaka, but is going to get rid of that pallet eventually.
Aquí tiene palet a la derecha.
Now, another 50-50. There's a pallet here at
Pero, hijo, ¿cómo me haces eso? Coño, que eso me lo sé yo y los que tengan un poquito de edad saben que aquí hay un palet, no puede ser de cara, tío.
as well, and Zaka gets the stun. Nerves of steel there from Zaka, just actually able
Ahí es provocar que te tire el palet y estar frente muerto,
to
prácticamente.
get out of that chem room. That is
De ahí a ese palet solo sales con agilidad. Tiras el palet, saltas y sales de ahí. Es la única manera de salir, ¿eh? La única.
just amazing survivor play out from Zaka,
Pero claro, la ha cagado el killer muchísimo.
wasting even more of the killer's time. It's going to be another healthy survivor found here in Marco.
Están reparando muy lento, muy lento. Es que mira, cuando llevamos de partida, tío, llevamos ya 1-1. Llevan 6, perdón, 1-1, 50 y... No, 1-1. Llevan 6 minutos de partida y llevan un motor, tío.
But
Muy
still,
lentos,
Zynox nowhere to be found here. NOKRON doing really well to protect that survivor that is vulnerable, and now he's fully healed.
Yeah, like, again, even if the game plan's a bit different, even if you play hit and run, the kind of fundamental of try and tunnel one survivor out of the game is going to be your game plan. But look at this. Like, every survivor is injured except your tunnel out. And sure, that's going
Muy inteligente chino que intentando pararle que no va a hacer la ventana, pero claro, muy bueno su chupa el dedo.
to change soon. But Zynox is going to make some distance off the back of this one anyway. It's just going to continue to waste more and more time for Bubbo. And at this point, surely Zaka, Marcos, and Ivan, they could either be resetting or they could be bullying out some of these
Todo se dio, chupito.
gens instead. That being said, it's always slow, the gem progress. I think the fact that Ruin hasn't gone down is a real big issue, and my only theory is that the Ruin totem is
Brutal, Iván, tío. ¿Cómo se la está jugando?
in the awful spot, and oh my god, this is...
Muy bien, Iván, aguantando aquí 5 segundos que parecen, pero son muy
I'm
importantes.
wasting so much time there, just voting back and forth, and just kind of calling Bubbo's bluff that you're not actually going to fully uncloak. Which is something I don't understand, because he doesn't even have a faster break while uncloaked anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the shadow dance. Maybe it's just muscle memory there
Yeah,
from
it
Bubbo.
literally is, yeah.
But yeah, that was at least 5 to 10 extra seconds bought by
Qué de frente, tío. Qué locura. Madre mía, brutal,
Ivan there, and a
Oh my
head-on
God.
Creo que es Cinox el de frente.
comes out. That is your tunnel out right there. The healthy Zynox using that head-on to buy a little bit more time for his teammate now.
Muy
Playing this
bien.
bad pallet in the back of the library, actually gonna get hit
Sale por la puerta, obviamente, porque se queda ahí, se queda encerrado.
there, greeting the pallet. I mean, it wouldn't have made any sense to drop that because he would have been zoned towards the edge map. But now, Zynox here, what does he have? I'm not sure he has anything here. Yeah, these pallets are all gone, as that's going to be the down onto Zynox. His second hook coming in here, but that's going to be the third generator done for NOKRON. What can they do here to prevent
Aprovechan para resetearse, muy bien
the
hecho.
tunnel out onto Zynox? The answer to that question is going to get us to our result in this game.
Yeah. And it's kind of similar to... It's similar to Dredge. I mean, just because it's a stealth killer on mid, which of course we're drawing comparisons, but similar to Dredge, where outs are rare. Outs are exceptionally rare against a Wraith. So far in Season X, they just haven't happened.
Este está acá.
4 generators completed is where you really want to be. And I say that could be a tie condition, but remember, for Ariandel...
Aquí dice que tenía que llevar pared. No llegaba.
You can't really accept a tie. A tie here would mean that the series ends in a 2-1 and you end up losing anyway. So all of the marbles are really on here.
Muy bien, momento perfecto para ruguear. Solo puede venir Marcos a rescatar, literalmente.
For the win to come through from...
No, puede venir Marcos y van.
From Ariandel. And that puts a lot of pressure on Bubbo's shoulders here. Like, yeah, you're kind of maybe guaranteed a 4K-esque, but you really want to do as much as you can to stop at least that 4th generator getting completed.
Se va a entregar,
Just give your team the best shot of a win that you can.
Yeah, and Marcos gets found there dropping from the 2nd floor. Going to be a trade here, unhooking Zynox, and
Veo la partida bien jodida, Veo la partida bien jodida, además.
this is going to be Zynox's final chase. Not exactly going to a strong area
Hasta luego, Zinox, no tienes nada, no tiene nada.
either. Not really sure what the plan is here. If I were him, I would have gone to the clock tower and built Bubbo a house. But that is just going to be the down onto Zynox. The kill coming in at 2 generators remaining. He ran right past that clock tower resource.
Yeah, really baffling decision there, and Zynox definitely going to be paying.
Salta por la ventana rápido y acaba de curar.
And you know what's still up? Ruin. Ruin is still up. At least if it wasn't, then there's a possibility that the 4th generator could have been completed in all this time.
Muy bien cerca aquí.
But no, the constant resets being forced
Vamos, parece la parte chunga, parece 4K, sinceramente.
from these survivors is proving to be a problem. It turns out, I saw a brief glimpse of the totem. The Ruin isn't in the terrible spot at the top of the stairs. It seems to be in the very far corner of the map instead, where, yeah, there are basically no generators to do and no real reason to go over there. So it's not something that survivors are going to actively investigate, you know, in their efforts to get rid of it, but it does make it much harder.
Ruina por fin se va a tomar por culo.
The moment I say that, it's gone. I think that's a good decision to make.
Claro, tiene erupción.
After you find it, it needs to go. Because, like, yeah, with
El equipo de NOKRON están jodidos, yo lo digo yo.
everyone injured, if you were to
Todos heridos.
continue to spend the time resetting, kind of as you
Como muchos hacen un motor más, y ya está.
should a lot of the time, it would have proven to be just really difficult to get anything done against the Ruin.
Yeah, and I think Bubbo knows here that the second he leaves that library gen, somebody's going to be back on it. Yeah, runs straight into Ivan here, and that's the windstorm value right there.
Muy bien, gracias al Adon. Si no, no hubiese llegado.
Blocking Ivan off of the pallet, and that is why he brought that over the shadow dance there. Finally seeing the value from that add-on is Bubbo as he gets another down onto Ivan. It's going to be a fresh hook, and most importantly, minus 10% regression there on that library gen.
Yeah, but you always bring a bit of a backup. Yes, you don't say like you're running a Ruin, but you don't want to run Undying. Often you'll run an Eruption, that means, okay, I accept that you'll get rid of my Ruin eventually.
Es que el problema que tiene Spectro que tienes que tirar el palet, sobre todo en un mapa como este, ¿vale? Este mapa son, ya os digo, preferibles para killers, por eso se juega pues Draga, Armarios, Territa, que es un killer débil. Spectro también es un killer en competitivo ciertamente débil, pero tú no puedes tirar todos los palets uno detrás de otro. Tienes que intentar lo que hizo Iván en el palet ese que lanzó, que pues eso, intentaba aguantar unos segundos, se saltaba por encima del palet, tal, pero es que si vas un palet detrás de otro lanzado a la primera, pues pasa esto, que el equipo se queda sin recursos y actualmente creo que ya no se puede hacer nada.
And I'll still have some slowdown. But I can
Como mucho hacer un motor más, yo lo digo yo.
imagine that Bubbo thought that that would go a lot earlier than it actually did. And now with everyone injured, you're not really worried about getting a second tunnel out. You can just kind of keep applying constant pressure. You just cycle survivor in, survivor out, constantly. Yeah, Zarka's been healed, but with a little bit of luck, you'll just find Ivan instead. And then that's fine. You get another hook, you force another pull. And then it's very predictable to know where every survivor is going to go. Like Zarka here, though fortunately, that is the one healthy survivor. So I can imagine that Ivan is somewhere trying to get the 4th generator done in a corner.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably count on one hand how many pallets are left on this map, Agder, as it's going to be Marcos just focused down off the hook. Doesn't really matter where they go. There's one pallet there, and he dropped it There's near these gens, there is just nothing. They've got that one window between the classrooms. That's it. As Ivan here going to just barely
Muy bien, Iván, tapándole la ventana.
make it through that window, not able to block that off with the windstorm. You can see on windows of opportunity, there is nothing. You've got windows here, and then you can see that clock tower resource in the courtyard, but that's it. Ivan, I don't understand how he can make anything here besides this window. Goes for the medium vault. Oh, actually gets the whiff there. A little bit of distance made here for Ivan. Good job.
Nadie reparando.
Wasting
Y muy bien, Iván, aquí.
wasting a little bit of Bubbo's time here. Forces him to go and set that eruption. Now, actually, is he going to leave here? No. Maybe Bubbo trying to fake him out and get him away from that window. But Ivan playing that singular window very, very well here. And, you know, Egder, I always say that this is what really separates the good teams from the great teams is what can you make in a chase when there's just nothing on the map.
Hasta luego, Marcos.
I think we're going to have to ask Marcos that question, but we're going to have to ask it at work anyway. Marcos had nothing, as in, like, that brother is starving, and we need to get him something. Zaka going to try and complete this generator over here, but with the hook on Marcos being so nearby, you're actually in a really vulnerable spot. And, you know, we need to see Bubbo turn the corner. Yeah, quick enough to just find Zaka there, feeling confident enough to... I say pursue that for the down, but actually just going to be dropping, recognizing that this gen has a little bit of progress on it and it's very risky. And I think it's because you know the margins you're working with, you can't even afford a tie. Yes, like you could probably have downed Zaka there in not that much time, but you would rather ensure that that fourth generator just does not get completed, like under any means necessary, because that would put your team in the survivor side in a much better spot for a win.
And Bubbo just seems to be in the survivors' comms right now. The way that he is just bouncing back and forth here as the survivors attempt to come in for the save. Both injured
Buah, chaval, qué huevos tiene Iván.
here. So Ivan is going to be getting the save here for
Muy bien cubriendo Marcos, muy bien.
his team. Hits the borrowed
Iván está muerto aquí igualmente.
time off of Marcos there. That's going to give NOKRON just a few more seconds to do a gen here. As now Bubbo committing to Zaka on this same window that Ivan was just on. Goes for the fast vault. Just not enough though, as multiple other generators here. Ivan and Marcos looking like they want to go for a full reset here though.
Mal sitio para curarse, creo yo, eh.
Oh, I don't know if that would have created a loud noise effect for the killer, but you have to be really careful with that sloppy butcher.
Yeah, I'm going to assume not, just on account of the fact that Bubbo is now searching everywhere else. And it's the only real option you have, but I can imagine that this is going to cause problems for Zaka. Bubbo might get a bit confused here, because like you're going to be patrolling the gens and realizing that no progress is happening. So surely at that point, with Marcos being healed, you know a reset's coming through. But again, like you can afford to play this slow. You really do not mind at this point.
Pues espera, mira, buen sitio para curarse. Pues yo pensé que era malo porque eso, estás en medio de la nada, no tienes nada de protecciones, como te ve alquiler, partidazo.
Point, you're in such a dominating position. You've hooked everyone. Yes, they're both healthy now, but with the amount of resources that there are on the map, aka nothing, you are not going to struggle to just injure them up all over again. And finally, we can see the house being built.
Aquí hubo un partidazo.
Ivan
Rango 20.
really in a spot to just waste as much of Bubbo's time as possible. And that's what this... We were saying it yesterday, seeing a dredge set on Midwich. That's kind of what that corner is all about. You're not there to survive, you're there to waste time.
Muy bien, aprovecho para rescatar, obviamente.
Yeah, you're only getting out of that corner if you like have Dead Hard, which is of course not going to be allowed in any of these M1 killer sets in DVD League. As Marcos going to get hit over to that window here. Bubbo continuing to play this slow, making sure that he gets this 4K2. Windstorm, he tries to
Aquí mal body block por parte de Hugo.
block off Ivan there, but just not close enough to the window. And he doesn't even want to deal with this window anymore. He just leaves Ivan there because he knows that there's going to be an injured survivor working a gen here. Still, 2 generators remaining. Really want to get this 4th generator done. Would do wonders for their win condition.
Ivan doesn't finish his gen. Simple as that. We can see that those regression limits are slowly starting to kick in, but you only have so many of them, and like if you trade 1 kick for one hook stage, the numbers don't exactly work in your favor anymore.
Da igual que se coma el palet, vale, este palet no pasa nada por comértelo.
Decent stun there, and the blind does cause a bit of a problem for Bubbo, but again, you're stuck in the corner, you're not going to make it down. Only gen with like any amount of progress that these survivors can realistically complete.
But the residual manifest
Sí, conseguir el cuarto motor es una victoria, os lo digo verdad.
application, though, is going to actually prevent Bubbo from seeing that Ivan is near the gen. The eruption hit there, which would have given aura, but it didn't because of the Hattie Teachable perk there on the flashlight. So now Ivan is actually working the gen unannounced.
Now it's a matter of time, because with Zaka and Marcos on the ground, now Bubba is going to go right back over to that gen. I wonder if you find Ivan here, because if you do, it's over. And the 4K2 would be an above average result for the Wraith. You are able to just...
Qué buena, chaval, y aquí ha fallado el hit, no ha dado a nadie, ha dado a la rampa.
Just about pick up Zaka.
Misses that swing, though.
No, able to pick up Marcos, but yeah, the swing doesn't come through. Eventually you get the one to finally injure up Ivan. But again, we're getting to this window, which has proven to be surprisingly really difficult for Bubbo to do. Again, resources that you can use on this map, not to live, but to just waste the killer's time. And right now, there is just a little bit of a time advantage that Twives can continue to take and milk for all it's worth.
And Bubbo, oh, he knows that's going to be a skill check missed there on the gen.
Qué pena, aquí no es que ya haya fallado el skitch, es que cuando os veis del motor, nos pasa muchísimo a todos, que nos vamos del motor porque viene el killer, te aparece un skill check y se falla solo.
For Ivan, he will make it back to this window. Will Bubbo finally commit to this window again? Is he ready to do that? As Ivan vaulting the window back and forth. Eventually,
ya sabéis, aquí,
here it's going to block.
Para que se cierre la ventana, tiene que el juego considerar que estás en persecución, si no la ventana no se cierra nunca.
I think. No, he's actually just going to take the dry vault there onto that window, and Ivan continuing to play it. Goes for the medium vault and gets
Más 20 de piedra.
it as well. Bubbo continuing to be foiled by this classroom window, Egder, as Ivan, he's not even in chase. The window
Se están curando. Yo creo que también bien hecho, no es mala idea.
isn't blocking.
And this is just buying time for a reset, and Bubbo just leaves. There is nothing on the map except for that one window.
Sí, lo que dice el caster, no hay nada en el mapa, es que no hay nada, o sea, creo que no queda un palet vivo, se queda de esa ventana.
And it has been
A disfrutarla.
used so many times that like this fourth gen could actually be completed just because of the strength of that window. And it's not even that good. It's just really effective in this one specific scenario where like you cannot afford to waste any amount of time. We go over to this generator here. Seems like it has some more progress.
Ay, en la ventanita.
I think Bubba is going to go to sleep and just have nightmares about this one window on Midway.
Sí, literalmente dicen los casters que va a tener hubo pesadillas con esta ventana, y es cierto.
Not even the rest of the Dimensional, not even any of like the weird like, you know, barbed wire.
Esta ventana es muy puta, la verdad. Esta ventana es bastante puta. Como te la jueves, no superviviente y tú no dices chase, te la suelta infinitas veces.
Things or gore piles hanging up.
Volvemos al DVD 2018, creo, 2019, que las ventanas podías saltar hasta las veces que quisieras.
Just the window.
Hostia, que se daba el juego para aquel entonces, madre mía.
And he leaves the window again.
Era llevar desconcierto o llevar desconcierto, no puedes hacer nada más.
I did not know this was the strongest like resource in the game. The Midwich window, that's insane.
This is buying NOKRON so much time to reset.
Y creo que el motor ese ya no puede bajar más. O sea, el motor ese ya solo puede subir.
As Ivan is going back to the gen now, and going to be Zaka and Marcos here playing together. Zaka taking a hit there. Nice
Muy bien, Zaka.
body blocking, keeping Marcos alive for now. But we're back to all survivors injured.
Yes, and unfortunately,
The gen is done.
last gen's actually going to be completed. And again,
Motorazo, perdón, es que estaba tan absorto en la persecución que esto que va a quedar Zaka en literalmente 2 segundos. Pero el motor, brutal, tío. El equipo, iba a decir el equipo de España. El equipo de NOKRON,
this
brutal.
is a bit disastrous because for Bubbo and the rest
Increíble el equipo de NOKRON. Increíble que hayan sacado este motor con una partida tan jodida como
of
estaba.
Ariandel,
Sin tener palets y sin tener nada.
this is like an average
Básicamente.
kill rate. 4K1 is the
Claro.
average, but You can't afford to be average because, like, what? You draw here? A draw means a loss.
Vamos, creo que Bubo la ha cagado, Toma de decisiones, la ha cagado bastante intensamente porque tiene la partida ganada.
Because the set is already 2-1 in favor of Nokron, if Ariandel draw here, then, like, that's not going to be worth. Sure, it would have been, you know, a competitive matchup. A 2-1 definitely isn't as bad as a 3-1, at least in the mental aspect of things, but in terms of points and overall standings, it makes absolutely no difference.
Yeah, if you're Ariandel here, the fourth gen getting
Ahí hay palet, entre ahí hay palet.
done is way more important
Ah, no, coño, no hay palet, madre mía, es que los han tirado todos, pensaba que aquí quedaba.
to you than it is when going is not.
Ah, mira, queda ese palet.
I'm not might have gotten you there. And of course, where else would this end except for this one window? It's just an attack.
Go up to the. We're gonna.
Bueno, está vacilando, ¿vale? Así que... No, y se deja matar. Una, 4 motores, muy bien. Pero que muy bien, sinceramente. 4 motores, una partida que, vamos, ya os digo que era de 3 motores y ya está. Han jugado muy bien los 3 suplentes últimos que han quedado vivos sin siquiera palets. O sea, brutal. El desempeño de los supervivientes. O sea, una idea de olla. Vale, se acaba con... ¿El otro tiene gancho flagelante? No, no tenía gancho flagelante, tenía ruina. Así que no, una build bastante parecida. A ver qué tal.
Okay, you don't even get every generator done.
Qué bien, tío.
Well, how about that to start off the match?
Pero se empezó la partida... A ver... Ah, no, perdón, empezó un poquito para atrás.
4 gens completed by the time the first survivor is dead, then no one escapes. It is a 4K, you don't even get every generator
Joder, se defiende muy de gratis,
done. Well, how about that to start off the match? A quick little head-on onto Zaka. I suppose Zaka didn't know that anyone was there, had no reason to expect it, but if you're Excise, why take that risk?
Yeah, nice pathing from Excise to go to the window, saving a pallet there. But he
Muy bien, Zaka aquí, el midgame ha sido brutal.
is going to take a hit there, unfortunately. Maybe he should have stayed at that stronger pallet and window there. So that's going to be the first injury very quickly there for
Hostias.
Zaka.
El Ace aquí fatal, no sé...
And he runs directly into Hard.
Ha venido de cara, literalmente.
Well,
Muy
there,
mal.
bit of an ace jump scare, honestly, as Hardwell going to get hit and run away. But yeah, it's going to be the same sort of plan here from Zaka. It's going to be wanting to spread
Hostias.
injuries here. And
Dos veces ya, están nerviosos el equipo de Ariandel.
he knows that they're going for a reset here. That's going to be 3 injuries already for Zaka. Just predicting that the survivors are going to meet up at the God Palette to reset. Zaka is in Ariandel's comms right now, in the Discord listening, as now a nice vault back for Hardwell. He needs to survive for a while at this palette here. And it looks like, yeah, that's actually, he's got the Windstorm too, so no Shadow Dance here. He's trying to block off this palette. Zaka going for the uncloak
No llega a dar la vuelta.
here. Should be able to get this down. And I don't think this is enough distance
Muy
for
bien.
Hardwell. Yeah, that is going to be the first down achieved
Fijaros, 1.30, es lo que digo, es lo normal, 2 minutos o así, de media.
there. I guess
Muy bien,
the
muy bien.
Windstorm is starting to become meta in this Wraith set, huh? As a possible Pain Res coming in here. There's a gen being doubled by Excise and Swatter. Hook coming in any second now. Not going to be fast enough though, and no Pain
Sótano.
Res. It looks like he's opted for the basement instead.
Pues si un gancho flagelante hubiese dolido, Hubiese dolido, la verdad.
Yeah, that was a much faster down as well. It was 3 minutes and 5 seconds when it was played by Bubbo. On Zaka, it was 1:35, so half the time to get the first down. I mean, again, like we're talking about, we've been talking. You know, you just need a draw here. But, you know, I guess, like, for Zaka, why not go the whole 9 yards?
Un segundo, chicos. Ahora vuelvo. No tarda nada. No, medio segundo para vosotros. Vale, continuamos, chicos.
Why not just and get the win as a whole? You could do it, and sure, like, the 3 points are still the 3 points, but maybe the extra map could always come in handy. Maybe not if you're at the very top of the standings and you're kind of
Deja esa ahí.
stuck there.
Qué raro.
But at the very least, just make the stake.
O sea, él quiere ir a por el
Put on
gancho.
a show.
Excise ya habría caído en breves, Esa habitación es la muerte.
Why the hell not?
Zaka is making absolutely clear here that he only cares about the tunnel out. He literally had the injured
Qué buena, brutal aquí. Muy bien, muy bien.
exercise
Como ha metido el hit al otro, ya todavía podido bloqueando a Hardware. Muy bien.
in that music room there and just ignored him to kick the gen. So it's going to be the kick of the God Palette here for Zaka. Now going unapologetically to tunnel out Hardwell, and Hardwell here,
Muy bien, aquí Ladon se nota muchísimo.
he wants to build Zaka a house, but yeah,
Muy bien, Zaka.
Zaka
Está jugando muy bien.
does not want any part of that. No wood for Hardwell. Not going to make it to that clock tower resource, and that's going to be the second down already onto Hardwell. He's got aura on these survivors working.
Y gancho flagelante. Brutal aquí Zaka, muy bien.
Gens here with the eruption. This is an injured survivor. I mean, all survivors are injured. And
Ha empezado que te quedas la partida Zaka, Está jugando súper bien.
this could easily snowball out of control for Ariandel here if they're not able to hide Hardwell
Para mí Zaka es uno de los mejores aspectos del mundo, Yo lo digo yo, de los mejores que he
or
visto.
get some resets or both. They just don't have
Me
time
parece no, pero el espectro tiene ciencia, Tiene ciencia.
to do all of that right now. They've been giving Zaka way too many hits here.
Is it that they've been giving Zaka too many hits, or Zaka has just, reached into his bag of tricks and magic up hit up?
Os lo he dicho. Que juega muy bien el espectro. Dice que lo juega muy bien. Lo clava los timings, tío.
Hit after hit and down after down too. Why the hell not just keep this up? And then you have a down survivor right in front of you. 99% of players are thinking, yeah, I'll just pick this up, put it on a hook right in front of me. No, Zaka just wants this tunnel out. Is literally
Tiene ya todos heridos. Si solo han hecho un motor, o sea, imagínate uno en el suelo.
Hardwell's number one.
Y Hardwell muere. O sea,
This is crazy work. I mean, go after the captain of the other team, I suppose, just to kind of, sink the knife in a little deeper.
Yeah, pallet dropped there for Hardwell. He's going to try to get back to this God pallet here. Is going to make it there. Going to be a little bit more time bought for this final chase. Hardwell, I mean, he needs to use almost every
ventana.
resource on the map here. Going to
Uf, ¿por qué poco, Dios mío?
go for that window and gets it. Nice vault there. Going to survive just a little bit longer here. If this chase does get out of hand for Hardwell, this could
Aquí caga de Hardwell porque ha tirado el palet. Fatal aquí, Hardwell.
actually be a problem for NOKRON.
Aquí caga de Hardwell entera.
But
Enterita.
not going to survive for much longer. Who even was pallet
Yeah,
is
perdón,
not
perdón.
super safe, but
Buah, qué paso de linterna. No me esperaba, perdón, Lo siento por... Os he hecho un pequeño spoiler. Brutal linterna. Buah.
a flashlight save comes
Se ha arriesgado muchísimo con esa linterna, Muchísimo. Le llegas por lo que sea escucharle y partidazo.
in. Who even was that on the angle there with the beamer? Hardwell still
Aunque creo que tenía voluntad de hierro porque no se lo escuchaba literalmente.
alive for now, thanks to his teammate there.
Sí, tiene voluntad de hierro. Es que no se lo escuchaba nada, tío.
That was Swatter on the flashlight there, keeping his teammate
Se sacrifica por su compañero, bien hecho.
alive. Incredible play there. Going to be Zaka blinded with that residual manifest, and Hardwell will now actually make it back to some of those resources.
Aparte a Bill se le escucha, en plan, Tabaco le tiene la garganta jodida, se le escucha muchísimo al pavo ese.
That he
Está
had
brutal.
run past in the past, so just insane
Es de los personajes menos sigilosos del juego. vamos.
survivor play there, but he's going to need another hit here. He only has this pallet, literally the worst
Ese pallet no sirve para nada.
pallet in the entire game. And
Ese pallet es de pre-drop e intentar dar vueltas, sí.
now he's going to be down for good. Only one
I
flashlight
didn't
allowed
think-
in the game.
I didn't think they could make
Me da la presión que está ejerciendo y 2 motores y medio, ya.
like a worse palette
O sea, me refiero que ya, perdón, se han hecho 3 motores y
than
medio.
like the
eso,
one in the green room of RPD, but they managed it anyway, which I'm very, very impressed with. I mean, heroics coming out from Swatter there, but unfortunately not quite. Gen is not completed by the time the kill comes through. We have a problem. Now, Excise was like 75% on one of them. Unfortunately, this is the one that's now been found and kicked with eruption. And with every single survivor injured, it's only really a matter of time until that. It's only really a matter of time until a down comes through, and that just gets regressed even more. So I just kind of need a reset right now, and Excise is not going to be part of that reset. In fact, Excise is probably going to be the one that goes down here. If there's any consolation, there are definitely still resources that the survivors have to work with. Compare this to where Ariandel were on their survivor side. They had nothing. And yes, some of the...
Si os fijáis abajo por abajo y está viendo por otra parte para sorprender a X6. A ver si lo sorprende.
strongest pallets on the map are gone, most of the god pallets, but...
X6 no se mueve de su ventana.
You know, you still have things to work with. It could be worse.
Se están reseteando, muy bien hecho.
And honestly, this is a pretty smart place to take a reset there. Not much reason for Zaka to ever be over there, as he's just kind of patrolling his gens here. Double reset out onto La Magic and Swatter. And yeah, looks like Ariandel going for a full reset here, except for Excise, who has been found at the window. Can he play it in the same way that Ivan did in the last match? He is just staying at the window here.
There is a chase out.
Yeah, chase is actually happening, so
Ahora sí que empieza la chase, la ventana se cierra y partidazo.
not going to be able to keep that window from blocking for long. Excise realizes that, has to run to the pallet, and actually a
Madre mía, Zaka, tío. Primero ahora un pared, no puedes comerte esto.
pallet save comes in. It's Swatter again.
Hay que aunque sea darse un pirulí, al menos un pirulí por ahí a ver si hay alguien.
Where did he even come from, Egder? That's the second insane altruistic play he's made this game.
Que por cierto, muy bien suéter, muy bien suéter, las cosas como son.
He is single-handedly keeping Ariandel
El cabrón está en el sitio correcto en el momento correcto.
in this.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. And Swatter is healthy as well, so he's able to take a hit and move on. Surely La Magic is the only survivor unaccounted for, either healing Excise or just bullying out a generator somewhere on the map.
Necesita, como comentó antes, hacer primeros cuelgues para, digamos, encargar la partida
I
guay.
think given the scratch marks nearby, we can assume that it's the generator being progressed. And Swatter and La Magic actually split on them right now. Swatter definitely has a way to go and is injured, so not having a particularly fun time there.
No lo tienen fácil, Zaka, No lo tienen fácil, yo lo digo yo.
Magic's is about 50% or so, and healthy too, so that one is one which very much could be finished here. I mean, I want Ariandel to break the mold and, you know, secure this draw and everyone can go home happy and, you know, both teams actually get the win. But, like, the numbers just kind of spell disaster for them.
Muy bien, camino elegido por Zaka, la pillan bragas. O sea, ahora mismo suéter está...
History also spells disaster for them, just as it does for Swatter, whose altruism
Ojalá tenga un macho flagelante cerca, estaría muy bien.
eventually catches up with him and instead becomes a real altruist to the killer player by appearing right in front of his face for no reason.
Lo tiene, Le Magic ha gritado.
It looks like Excise is going to be stealthing for this save here. That was
O sea, me refiero que tenerlo lo tiene, lo ha usado.
another pain resonance onto La Magic's gen there, working on that chem room gen.
Buah.
And Zaka, just insane game sense here. He knows that the Michaela was the one who screamed from
Otra cancha flagelante.
the pain resonance and the eruption, and that means that it has to be Excise injured coming for the save. So he just sits there and waits for him to drop down. Going to be another pain resonance here for Zaka. All of his fresh hooks, I believe, as he still has a stack of pain resonance left, but I don't believe he used it before. So that should be all the fresh hooks, and he knows again that they need to fast pull here.
And now everyone's injured again, and all of the time earlier it was spent resetting and trying to, you know, bring something back from a precarious situation.
Ahora, brutal mid-game, se la falla
Is
entero.
all for naught.
hasta aquí.
Magic is being caught out here, not quite making
Qué bien juega Zaka el espectador, juega que te cagas, tío.
the pallet, so is going to be going down two and should just kind of neatly round things out here
Pues último gacho flagelante.
for Zaka. You've now been applying
También ha tenido suerte con los gachos flagelantes, porque en este mapa a mí me ha pasado muchas veces de que estamos lejos. Si no llego, como están en otro piso, no llego.
strong pressure to every single survivor. And like Swatter and Excise, what do? You kind of have to reset. Doing a gen would be sheer, like, I say sheer crazy work, and that's exactly what they're doing. I suppose it's subverting expectations. If Excise can make this pallet last, maybe not even a long time, just like a couple of seconds, and then just, you know, zone out in this corner as best you can, maybe Swatter ends up completing the last gen, and I think it will happen. Like, everyone else is just dead.
Dejan solo.
Zaka's going to...
Le han hecho el motor, me cago en la puta. Me cago en la puta, tío. Buah. Aquí lo ha hecho muy bien el equipo de Ariandel,
go over, and Swatter will only really be able
Muy
to
bien.
go for that unhook.
Yo os lo dije que era muy difícil. Pues nada, empate.
But I suppose he's going to try and subvert those expectations, pick up Exise instead, but that will give another hook
Pero bueno, empate en esta partida. Quiere decir que NOKRON ha ganado.
stage over to the Magic, and you get
La
found
ronda.
out anyway. In the corner with one very
Ariandel necesitaba la victoria para ganar.
mediocre palette to work with next to another
Para empatarme el suelo del partido, joder, no sé hablar, disculpadme.
very mediocre palette. So Swatter goes down here, and it is going to be the final scoreline. The moment this down comes through, which should be happening any second now. Any second now. Like any second now, apparently.
These library palettes are deceptively strong if you run them together here
Joder, macho, madre mía, cuánto lo aguantan, tío.
against an M1 killer.
Hala,
Swatter,
vale.
though, finally going to go down,
Pues ya
and that
está. Pues empate de partida, al fin y al cabo 4K y un motor, muy bien jugado por Zaka, has jugado que te cagas sinceramente, aunque se les ha visto nerviosos al equipo de Ariandel, se les ha visto nerviosos, han cometido errores un poquito tontos, pero Zaka brutal. Y nada, la primera partida se la llevó, la partida 2 se llevó el equipo de Ariandel, fue su única victoria. Freddy se lo llevó NOKRON, Plaga, no, espera. Sí, Freddy se lo llevó NOKRON, Plaga, NOKRON otra vez y nada, una remontada, 1-2 y la última partida pues empate.
Thing itself is top victors in the teams. Somewhat third or definitely here for all.
Quería ver una cosa de los objetos. Sí, aquí, bolita de hierro, ¿veis? Bolita de hierro con la linterna de Bill. Y nada, muy bien jugado, la verdad. O sea, un partido. Me hubiese gustado ver kills más fuertes, la verdad. Más, yo que sé, un deterioro, una enfermera, un artista. ¿Sabéis? En plan, kills así más fuertes. Hemos visto. El killer más fuerte de los que hemos visto. Yo diría que ha sido el Freddy, la verdad. El resto, bueno, Plaga también es fuerte, pero entenderme. Pero bueno, me hubiese gustado ver así kills más un Hillbilly, no sé, kills un espíritu, kills así un payaso. Pero bueno, es lo que hay. Me gusta cuando se enfrentan los mejores equipos que saquen los kills más fuertes posibles. Así que nada, espero que os haya gustado el partido, chavales. Y nada, nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo. ¡Mua! Chau, chau, chau.